Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You know, last week we went around and asked what we wanted to see in the game, preseason game number 1, and I found out this week that we didn't ask Beards what he wanted to see.
Was he upset about that?
Nor did I even know he had an answer until a couple of days ago. We were having a conversation, and Beards was like, well, this is something I had on what I wanted to see last Friday, which you didn't ask me about, but that's okay. No, not a big deal. But had you asked me about it, this is one of the things I would have wanted to see in the game, and we can talk about it now 5 days later. So we will go. Beard, should we start with you?
I actually don't have anything this week.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you the next 4 hours. A lot of stuff to get into today and talk about. We'll start with some Royals baseball. We'll get into some Chiefs football, some college football as well, as we will take you through until 2 o'clock. The program takes over at 2 o'clock. Little bonus hour coming your way, 4-810, the text line. We will hear from the Kansas City Chiefs coming up around 11 o'clock or so, or whenever the practice ends. We will hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. We will hear from Derek Nottie. And we will hear from Jerry Rice. Excuse me, Justin Ross. Justin Ross. I get those guys confused often.
All sounds the same to me. I appreciate you making that connection. I will be using that forever.
Future Hall of Famer Justin Ross will be at the podium today. How about that? We get to hear from him. I've never heard him talk before.
I don't know if I've heard him talk.
If he was a mute, I wouldn't know.
I don't think we'd know.
If he studied mime at Clemson, I wouldn't know.
I have an hour of college credit in mime.
Drake would know if he studied mime at Clemson.
Did you know that about Drake when you
did.
said that? Okay, thank God. 'Cause
I did.
You almost walked into the funniest, complete unknown. But good. Good.
So we will hear
It's real class.
The man, the myth, and already the legend, Justin Ross today. I don't even think his press conference can live up to the hype. What is around, let alone his play.
Do you think he intends to go into the Hall of Fame as a Dolphin? That's what I want to know. Hey, Matt Derrick, I got a question for you.
Do you think you're going to go in the Hall of Fame as a Dolphin and as Verlander an Astro? Who goes into the Hall of Fame with that team that they're on right now?
Justin, were the Chiefs suppressing your stats last year? Be honest.
Just so they could trade you? Because that's smart.
Yeah, the Royals kind of did that.
So we will hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Nottie, and Justin Ross at the podium today. Boy, poor Derek Nottie. Like, all right, get out of the way. Come on. Move. Let's go.
A great presser guy, though. Last year around this time, we found out that he was, maybe 2 years ago, we found that he learned about jet skis in his offseason and was having a great time. I have I've got that picture from him a couple weeks later.
Text says, I can't wait to hear his mythical voice. We will find out. So that comes up around 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after. I don't know. Just got to stay tuned for that.
So, Justin, what's the process been like for you so far at camp, you know? Well, I've just been trying to learn everything I can.
Today is the most important day of my life. Because I'm a Chief.
I hope they have extra security. I know they've, made sure that the fans have to, you got Patrick Mahomes, he's a superstar, but man, when they start seeing Justin Ross head to the podium, there could be a stampede.
That's right.
Behave yourselves, folks.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, and Valley Sports TV, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City, will join us at noon as the Royals break them up. Well, they did a little bit. They have won 4 in a row. They've won in walk-off fashion. They've won in, out-slugging the Twins. They've won a pitcher's duel, and they won in balk-off fashion last night. They have just found ways. That's what good teams do. Good teams find ways to win games. And the Royals have won 4 in a row. They have doubled their longest streak. 2 games isn't a streak, but they've doubled their longest back-to-back of the season with 4 straight games. And I thought it was funny. What's the Mets AAA city?
Syracuse?
Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's just go with that.
I think it's Syracuse.
Somebody joked last night and said, oh, can't wait to watch the Syracuse Mets versus the Kansas City Royals. I'm like, no, see, you would say the Syracuse Mets versus the Omaha Storm Chasers because you can't say one of those teams is Major League that's won 20 games this year, okay? Just because you traded a couple of players away from the Mets. So it is Syracuse. The Syracuse. Can't wait to watch Syracuse Mets versus the Kansas City Royals. No. That's what the feeling is in New York, that the Royals are the big league club and the Mets are the AAA franchise because they traded Scherzer and Verlander.
I had that on the mind because I was talking to intern Reed before the show, and he was saying that he was checking to see if Vinny Pasquantino had tweeted recently because he's been pretty quiet on Twitter since the moves. But he noted that he liked the tweet 19 hours ago. Syracuse Mets versus Kansas City Royals going to be cinema tonight.
See?
So there you go. We were prepared for that. Good job, Reed. That was show prep.
Well done. I saw that too. We've seen that. So we'll talk with Jeff Montgomery, what he's seen in this 4-game winning streak, but also being around the ballpark. Todd Lebo talked about it this morning, and just, you're out at the ballpark and you're seeing these guys in their uniform, shagging fly balls, going through the regular warm-ups, and you're like, that guy's packed, right? He's packed and ready to go, like Barlow, and it ended up being Yarborough. But what that's, like to be around the ballpark. And also, I do wonder if this is the first, it's a business when you're a big leaguer because you've come up through the minor leagues and guys have made it or not made it or been cut and DFA'd or traded. So, you know that it's sort of a business and sometimes you're viewed as a commodity and not necessarily a human. But I do wonder, at the big league level, if yesterday was the first sort of reality at the big league level of a business, because a year ago they traded Santana and Benintendi and Whit Merrifield, older guys that had been there and been established on the big leagues, or older guys in baseball that the young Royals were coming up and learning from and playing with. But ultimately, these guys have been around a little bit. Year before that, Jorge Soler. So the players like Bobby Witt that came up in 21. So Soler was traded. But yesterday was the first time, or at least the weekend, where you've got Nicky Lopez and Scott Barlow, a couple of the younger guys that, minor leagues with, or, been around for the last 2-3 years with, that those guys are traded. They're like, wow, Nicky was just in my locker, was locker next to me in the clubhouse yesterday, and now he's gone. Maybe a little bit more of a cold splash of water of reality of, hey, it's a business, go out and perform. Guys are going to get traded, so, whatever you're doing. I don't know if that's the case. Probably have to ask the Royals themselves, but thought it's an interesting trade deadline yesterday than it was a year ago when you were trading veteran guys, as opposed to Nicky Lopez has been around, and Scott Barlow's been your closer for now. This is the third year. He was installed as a closer in 21. So the third year as your closer is now traded. And a younger guy. So
I even thought it was kind of a tough spot, but I'm glad that he went for it last night with Joe Goldberg after the game, talking to MJ Melendez on the field. It was like, splash. Hey, the first question was like, hey, MJ, can you just explain? Can you be the analyst for a second? What did you see from third base for the fans in the stadium here who might still be looking around going, guys? Is he gonna hit or what? But then towards the end of their on-field interview, he asked, this has got to be a hard day and a weird day in the clubhouse, and it felt like there was a little bit of gravity there where it wasn't necessarily. These were guys that made all the sense in the world to move, especially the pitchers yesterday. But there is a little bit to it where this team has been horrible all year. The fact that there is a fiery hot 4-game streak that I think you were accurate to say doubling their longest streak. 2's a streak when you don't have 3. 2's a streak. 2's a streak not for good teams. But
what if you don't have 2? Is 1 a streak?
If you don't have 2, you have a problem.
Is 3 the streak?
I think
2 is not a win. 2 is back to back.
Yes, no, I think you're right.
You need at least 3, right, to have a streak.
When you are a team who has not yet streaked in the season until the end of July.
Well, yes, they call them the streak.
It's a tough go, but those are the guys that you've been grinding through that with. That really does have to. Monty will of course be able to speak to that in a different level, but that's got to be a weird time and also a really nice time for them to have their most exciting streak of the season, where there's a little bit of a good vibe, sort of bookending of a really tough and at some points confusing period.
We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. He'll be hanging out in studio with us coming up later on today. 913-912-4810, 913-912-4810. Reaction to yesterday for me was good. I liked it. Who knows what it's going to end up being, but I liked at least the process of yesterday. I waited until after 5 o'clock, a little bit later after 5, because we've seen this so often that the trade deadline gets there, people react to, I guess this person isn't traded or that person, and then there's just a flurry over the next 10, 15 minutes of trades, because deadlines spur action, and you're getting down to the wire, and you're taking it, push it to the limit is what they're doing, and a lot of deals come in after that are made before, but they're reported after. So I waited a little bit, and then we saw the Yarborough, then we saw the Scott Barlow trades come in. I'm like, okay, I feel better about it that they traded those guys, and my reaction on Twitter was they took it down to the last minutes. So either they were holding firm in this is what we're asking for, and they got what they were asking for, or they were holding firm with the line in the sand until it came to the point where they knew they weren't going to get exactly what they wanted, but they still felt the best interest of the ball club was to make these moves right now. So it might have been a little less than what they wanted, but they still felt like it was in the best interest long-term of the team, which I am perfectly fine with them doing. Again, I like that process of it. We will find out what these players end up being, okay? You take a lottery ticket, you take a flyer. Sometimes they turn out to be great, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you get Yordan Alvarez for Justin or Josh Fields, whichever guy that has a Fields in the last name that plays baseball and pitched and not a football player that threw. Sometimes you get those guys, and sometimes you get guys that just never really materialize in their careers. But we'll see what happens. They got guys that were near Major League ready or guys that are out of options like Tucker Davidson. But they also got Ronnie Cabrera from Chapman, Derlin Figueroa in the Yarborough deal, Henry Williams in the Barlow deal, and Jesus Rios in the Barlow deal that are younger guys that are not close to the major leagues. So they end up getting Reagans, Hearn, Cabrera, Mann, Figueroa, Velasquez, Henry Williams, Jesus Rios, and Tucker Davidson. 9 players for Chapman, Quas, Lopez, Cash, Barlow, Yarborough. So 9 players. Of those 9, 4 of them are longer term at different levels of the minors. 5 of them are older players, could help out right away. Tweak here or there could be something. I liked that approach. They didn't go 9 for 9 in guys that were AAA or AA getting ready to be AAA that could start 2024 with this team, or guys that are on major league teams. I liked that approach, that there were different levels there. A couple of flyers, a couple of older guys. That's fine. I would rather 9, A-ball players.
Sure.
That's just me, but I'm not building a 40-man and 5 and 6 different levels of an organization.
And the Royals have to continue to earn this trust and prove that they will act this way. But if you get guys who are close to being Major League ready, it doesn't necessarily mean that you as a team think you're close to World Series ready. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some Major Leaguers who put out a good performance for you the first half of the season in either their rental players or the year of control. The Ryan Yarborough experience could not have worked out better, honestly. I mean, the worst part of it was that he got hit in the face with a baseball and then came back and pitched great, which is a remarkable story. But if you get those older guys, if you are viewing them as improvable, developable chips that you can eventually then send for more younger pieces in another cycle or two, that's still team building, that's still being transactional. You don't have to develop all these dudes from 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. If you've got a 26-year-old who you can trade at next year's deadline or in a full winter from now, that's still working toward the same goal. So on that overall look, Craig Brown wrote, I thought he did J.J. Picollo a favor in this terminology. When J.J. said there's a bit of a gray area and it made my stomach get to my Adam's apple, Craig said the Royals are more in a no man's land, which I think is more true, but also allows you to, as JJ said, early before the deadline yesterday, 2 days ago, we played yesterday. Everyone else is operating from different points of strength. The Royals are in a spot where they should not be too picky. They should say, we want the best offer, whatever the best total package is. We'll take your best parts, and we're going to make it work for our future. And this seems like a reasonable path on that for the trades they did make yesterday.
J.J. Picollo talking about the timeline and this thing coming down to the wire. So the deals were announced after 5 o'clock, and it wasn't because of a delay in reporting it. It was because these deals went right up to the deadline.
It was late. It was really late. There were a lot of things going throughout the day, but from 4 o'clock to 4:55, you're just trying to be prepared for anything that may come our way. We knew it was a possibility with Yarbs, with the Dodgers. We weren't sure where they were with things. We were pretty settled on what the return may be. With Scott, there was a lot going on with San Diego, and it was, we knew the interest was there in Scott, and ultimately just, felt like, the player in that deal, Williams, was the guy we had our eyes on, and ended up getting him at the end. So it was just a lot in the last 10 minutes.
And that's the part that I didn't know what J.J. Picollo was going to say about the deals, to where they stood firm, stood their ground, waited to the end, and got what they wanted and made the deal. It sounds like that from J.J. Picollo. Henry Williams was the guy they wanted from the Padres for Scott Barlow, and the Padres weren't willing to do that throughout the day. And maybe when some other guys went in different places and they found out that, all right, whatever it might be, 30 minutes left, 15 minutes left, and Barlow's the one out there, okay, we'll trade Henry Williams. He's coming off Tommy John. He might be 3 years away. We got Barlow for another year after this year. Let's do it. And they got that done near the end. So, again, I like that process of we're waiting and waiting. We're going to hold our water. And, okay, they got there. Let's make the deal.
This wasn't the best deal they ever could have gotten for Scott Barlow, but it's probably the best deal they could have gotten for Scott Barlow yesterday. And I feel okay about that.
What was interesting to me is, and we talked a little bit about this before the show, the players that weren't traded.
Yeah.
In Salvi and Singer, Hernandez, Edward Olivares, but mainly Salvi and Singer. Here's J.J. Picollo talking about and asked how interested were teams in Salvador Perez.
There was some interest, there was some interest, and I don't want to get into the teams at all, but there was some interest. It was a very complicated concept that we still would have had to get approval from Salvi. We know how much Salvi loves being here. We still would have had to get approval. It was worth going down the path, but it was just, we knew with the team we were talking to how complicated it was, and it was going to be hard to pull off.
I was watching him watch TV in the clubhouse earlier. They're watching their lives happen on here. What's it like for you guys when you talk to those guys after 5 o'clock? When you got to tell them because they went out for shagging balls and stuff and didn't know. What's that like?
We try to, especially the veteran players, we try to communicate as much as we can with them. Especially guys that have the right to veto any trade. So you need to be upfront with them. Salvi, was aware that we had some discussions going on, as was Zach. Both players were open-minded, but both reiterated to me how much they want to be here. And, if it's a great deal for the organization, bring it to me. If not, then, we're happy being here. It is a little awkward. I can't imagine being in their shoes, just wondering what's really happening behind the scenes. I will say there were things that were out there that weren't true at all. I think it was a lot of speculation. And then we have to make a decision if we're going to go to that player and say, hey, this is not true, which is a little dangerous too, because something could change. So it's kind of a fine line you got to walk to be upfront and honest. But in those two guys' situations, Zach and Salvi, with their no trade rights, you have to communicate with them.
So there was interest in Greinke?
Yes, there was.
But that wasn't what prevented you from trading those guys, was not what they had said? Or
No, they were pros. They get what this is about. I think Zach has been through this so many times. He understands what it is. Salvi, it's a totally different situation, and open conversations with him, very candid, and he was excellent in working through it. But he always reiterated, where I want to be.
Let's play this clip because there's something else that I want to hear from J.J. Picollo. Let's play the one about continuing the offseason, Will, discussions that sort of a takeaway from what took place over the weekend and names that people were talking about and names they were discussing. Does that then move into after the season is over?
Well, I think what potentially could have happened through the last week or so is how open we are to exploring different ideas. So I think that's a good thing. But I think our approach will be the same in the offseason. Any deal with a player that's talented and has a lot of control, we have to stick to what we think is the right return and get the most impact in return that we can. we do have our eyes on competing at a higher level in the major leagues, so we can't lose focus on that. We do have a good, solid number of young guys who are going to come into years 3 and 4, 2, 3, and 4 of our control with them, so we have to keep that in mind. So you don't want to go backwards when we're trying to go forwards. So when you're talking about trading a guy that has years of control, you want to get something that still can help your major league team at least stay where you are, if not better, and then get the prospects on the back end. So you're building, you're not losing where you are right now, and you're pushing forward for the future. So you're trying to work from both ends, and that's what makes it hard. But again, not to beat a dead horse, but the concept we had today served those purposes. A major league team wasn't going to take a step backwards, and we were going to get other things that would help us long term. So I think, at least initially, to answer your question, our approach will be the same this winter if it comes about.
They had some deals that were in place for some players, including Brady Singer, that they wanted to get done. Players that they wanted from other teams that never came up. And they viewed it as, we're willing to move this guy. And as he said, one of the takeaways from this trade deadline was other teams now see it and say, well, they're willing to move this player, that player, if the right guy is there. And I think that more is Brady Singer than almost Salvi, and definitely Zach Greinke. I think, and the reason I liked hearing him talk about Singer at different parts last night was because my point about Aaron Savali and Kyle Manzatto, that maybe the Royals would have made that exact deal, but it wasn't offered to them. It was offered to the Guardians, and the Royals were willing to move Brady Singer yesterday for the right pieces. So they weren't just saying, no, Brady Singer's a part of our future. Sorry, he's got years of control. That process I was a fan of.
It gives me a little bit of hope. And also because it's not unreasonable to say, time's not right, return's not right now for Brady Singer. Go have the best last half of this season you possibly can. Let's get that stock nice and high. And in the winter, we're going to try to find you a nice warm home in some other MLB city. And you're going to be able to go pitch for a team that's closer to contending and help us rebuild for the long haul. That's the headspace they should be in, but not a position where you had to do it right now. This isn't the highest Brady Singer stock has ever been. There's been a little, he's been still good in this recent stretch with one blip in the last 4 or 5 starts. But there's a real chance. He's still on a potentially upward trajectory. You can make this move in the offseason. And then with Salvi, you're right. I don't think it's, hey, people know we're willing to move these guys. I want the entire league to know that the Royals are interested in moving Brady Singer, because the best offer you can get is what you're looking for. For Salvi, it's always going to be, hey, man, where would you go? And who is interested in you? And how much of your salary do we have to pay? What can we get in return? If Salvador Perez gets moved, it's going to be a collaborative effort. For Brady Singer, you got to get the best offer you can, and that might be in the winter instead of right now.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some Chiefs football. Patrick Mahomes and his comment to Albert Breer. We discussed it a little bit with Adam Teicher about the contract that he had mentioned and mentioning Chris Jones. What does that mean? Is there a message from Patrick Mahomes? Justin Ross is going to talk at the podium today. There's video of him returning punts, too.
Yes!
He is earning a spot, damn it.
Travis Kelce has a mustache again!
What?
It's true.
It's all happening.
Sorry for the bad news, everybody. Travis Kelce has a mustache.
Is that bad news or great news?
Nah, it's great news.
Of course it is.
It's great news.
Man, does Justin Ross have a mustache?
Ooh,
no
we
way.
better.
He can't be a supernova. I mean, if he had a mustache, he would just he would spontaneously combust.
It would burn right off. That's the issue. He can't have any facial hair because he runs so fast. It just disintegrates in the atmosphere.
That's exactly right. We will take a timeout. We'll talk some Chiefs football next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
we'll head out to St. Joe when the Chiefs get to the podium. They're going through practice right now. And we will hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Derek Nottie. We will hear from Justin Ross.
Always good to hear from the MVP and also Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Nottie.
That's right. Looking forward to that. We'll see what the MVP has to say about getting balls thrown to him from Patrick Mahomes. Excited about that. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810. Our training camp coverage is brought to you by Barstool Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino, Bud Light, Greengrass Cattle Company, and Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park. And as always, we appreciate Google Fiber being a part of the show. The award-winning internet without data caps, annual contracts, or hidden fees. A big shout-out to Google Fiber, 1 gig internet, the same price since 2012, and now up to 5 gigs. You can get the best internet out there. It is Google Fiber. So I do want to talk about this. We discussed it with Adam Teicher a little bit, and we never got into the conversation, Josh, you and I, about the comments that Patrick Mahomes made to Albert Breer. I guess now a week ago, that was published on Monday in the Monday Morning Quarterback by Albert Breer. He spent time in camp last Wednesday, making his rounds in camp and things like that. But Albert Breer talking to Patrick Mahomes, and it was a longer story about him growing into and learning and taking the lead from Tom Brady and the different things Tom Brady has done in his career, what he did in becoming this, greatest of all time, 7 Super Bowls, and how good he was. And even to the point of Blaine Gabbert being on the team as part of like Patrick Mahomes, like, hey, if we're going to bring somebody in, Blaine Gabbert played with Tom Brady the last 3 years. That'd be cool to have him in here. And I can learn some things from Blaine about Tom Brady. So there's clearly this, model that Patrick Mahomes is looking at. Well, it's Tom Brady. He looks at models all the time.
Yeah,
so.
the model is Tom Brady.
And he dates models. It's typically what he does. Giselle not happy about his new fling, supermodel.
Oh, wow.
I've
been a tiny bit less online over the last couple of months.
You didn't see the video of...
Oh, no. I don't even know what you're talking about.
You didn't see the video of him and her leaving in the morning and her wearing the same thing that they were seen in the night before at dinner?
How dare they?
Scandalous of this single man.
How unbelievable. This single man and single woman may have had relations outside the confines of marriage?
Supermodel that Giselle is not happy about. No, I'm the supermodel in this family. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes talking to Albert Breer. Well, what I want to talk about is when he's discussing the contract. Josh says, I've looked at Tom's model and how he did it. Whoa, here we are again. Said, geez, Louise, Patrick, you're a married man.
Get it together, man.
He goes, quote, you want to make money for yourself and for your family. You want to keep pushing the market forward for other quarterbacks. You don't want to be someone that they use against other players. But at the same time, I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. I want everybody on the team here. I've got a great offensive line. It's everything around me. It's all about having Oprah conversations with Brett Veach, Coach Reed, Clark Hunt, and just knowing where the happy medium is. That will be out there throughout my entire career. To me, it's not always about being the highest paid. It's about making enough money for me and my family and keep moving the game forward for everybody. We've heard that before from Patrick Mahomes when asked about, hey, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson and these guys' contracts are now making more than you. He's weighed in on that. This happened to be the Justin Herbert, contract, things like that. What stands out here is I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. Chris Jones in training camp.
Yeah.
Is that Patrick Mahomes to the front office or Patrick Mahomes to Chris Jones? Or Patrick Mahomes just simply talking to Albert Breer about how he feels with no message being sent either way, just as, hey, my contract is this. I want Chris Jones in training camp. I want all these things to happen. This is the reality of the NFL. How do you read that literally?
Yeah.
And what do you read into when you hear, I want Chris Jones to be in training camp when talking about taking less money?
I wish we had audio of it. I wish that Albert would put out a little podcast channel or something. I'll download it, Albert. I'll do it.
It'd be great.
But I can guess what it sounds like because we've heard Patrick Mahomes talk a lot, and I'm sure he'll be asked about that in some form or fashion today.
To be in training camp. That's what it
would have sounded like.
I'm here.
He might talk about that
here.
when I don't know if he'll be asked about that phrasing in particular or not.
I hope he is.
I hope he is too. My reading of it is honestly that it's more of option 3 there, which is that he just wants Chris Jones in training camp. I want Chris Jones in training camp. So do you.
Yeah.
So does Drake. I want Chris Jones in training camp. It doesn't read to me coming off as frustration or as disappointment in either side. I think there's a little bit to kind of what you were floating out with Adam yesterday. There's a little bit of like, hey man, I'm not taking every penny, and this team's really good, and we've really hit all the marks we've been trying to hit these last few years. So it would be great if those two sides would figure it out. Where at most it's, hey, I'm looking for the happy medium. Certainly you guys can find it. You, Veach, and you, Chris Jones, can find it. I don't think that's sending a message or a shot across the bow, but I do think it's interesting that that's one of the specific names he threw out there.
My read on it is I think this is just Patrick Mahomes describing the contract and making it be known that I'm not greedy and looking for every single dollar I can.
Yeah.
Because I want Chris Jones in training camp. Right. I want him here. I want him to get the money. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. These are reasons why I'm not looking to make the max high end every single year, because if I do, then Travis is doing something. Then Chris Jones is not only not in training camp, but not even on the team. You know, Tyreek Hill isn't on the team, but they had a chance to sign him. They could have signed him. Like we always say, the salary cap will never prevent you from signing one player.
Right.
It can prevent you from signing 5 high-level players at max contracts, to use an NBA term. It'll prevent you from doing that and actually putting probably a good, solid, balanced team together. But I don't think this was I want Chris Jones to be in training camp like, hey, Chris, you need to be in training camp. I've taken less money, damn it. Or I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. Hey, Brett, I've taken less money. Let's get this thing done. Let's figure it out, all right? Because, look, they're still 11 days away from the first game. So, I mean, you're talking about next Saturday, the first preseason game. To me, this is just him. I'm doing this. You don't want to be someone that they use against other players,
right,
is what he said.
Such an interesting thing for him to know.
Yes.
Of course, he's aware of that. I'm sure he's had that conversation with other agents, or Lee Steinberg has gotten a lot of phone calls, but interesting nugget.
He's like, I want to keep moving the market, pushing the market forward. I want to make money that's there for myself, my family. I don't want other people to use my contract against them and their clients, or teams use it against them because I'm getting this and therefore these guys can't get that. But at the same time, I want these guys to get paid on the team. I want Chris Jones. I want Travis Kelce to get the money there. That's why I'm taking less money. I think it can be viewed as I want Chris Jones to be in training camp, so let's get this freaking thing done because I took less money. I read it as here are the reasons all around as to why I'm taking less money, and I don't care that Justin Herbert just signed this contract, and I don't care that in less than a month Joe Burrow is going to sign his contract before the first game of the season, and I'm going to slide to number 9 in annual average value because A, B, C, D, and E, but it is a balance that I have to do knowing that I'm the best quarterback in the league, and if I'm the 9th highest paid, they're going to use that against other quarterbacks.
I think if you were to say, he's saying Chris Jones needs to take less money or the Chiefs need to step up and stop screwing around, you would also have to say, and then he said, I want them to give Travis Kelce a raise, which isn't what he said, right? What the trio, or really the 4 statements here, I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. I want everybody on the team here. Those 4 statements, I think, are all rolling in the same direction. It's not, hey, I want everybody to get paid. Chris Jones better bleep and be here. I hope Travis Kelce makes all the money he can, and I want everyone on the team here. Those are individual examples, I think, bullet points to support the other half of his mindset, where making money, moving the market, setting up my family, not ruining this for other quarterbacks, and also understand my logic here, which I hope people do eventually, because it has been a kind of a weird thing to watch when you finally have a player who's like, yeah, no, and $5 million to Patrick Mahomes is very different than $5 million to anyone you've ever met in your entire life, because he's saying, yeah, I'll take 5% less than I could be making to make this team around me better. It's not all altruism. It's all good for him. He's winning Super Bowls and playoff games in every AFC Championship game he's ever been eligible to play in. And yet, his star continues to rise because that all comes together. There's more money there. There's more power there. There's more stardom there. This is a mutually beneficial thing for him and Kelsey and the Chiefs all together. I hope people see that this is a symbiotic relationship, and you're not just wondering, like, why is the C anemone letting that clownfish live in there? Both sides are benefiting from this.
This was the first year, and this doesn't have to do with endorsements off the field and money made there, but this was the first time that Patrick Mahomes was number one in the NFL of all officially licensed NFL products.
Yeah.
Which is game jerseys, T-shirts, hoodies, bobbleheads, plush toys, socks, face coverings, headbands, figurines, wall decals, backpacks, pennants, photos, drinkware, pet products, any of the NFL officially licensed stuff. Patrick Mahomes was number one of his products that were sold. That has nothing to do with the endorsements off the field, but the agents for Patrick Mahomes and the agency say, hey, look, this is why he deserves more money in this endorsement deal, Oakley or whoever, because he's number one in the NFL of products that people are buying. They're buying Patrick Mahomes products in the NFL. So they're buying your product because Patrick Mahomes is endorsing it. That's off the field stuff. And what Adam Teicher said yesterday, I think, is also part of the bigger picture. I think Mahomes is perfectly fine doing this model of Tom Brady of taking less money, as long as there is evidence and a trust that the Chiefs are using that and allocating that money to others, and it's not Mike Florio that he's feathering the cap or whatever way he described it of Clark Hunt's new yacht or whatever. As long as he feels like, well, I'm taking less money and Clark Hunt's just putting more investments out there for his own, pocket. Well, no, if you're not going to use that. As long as there's that trust that they are doing that, I think he's perfectly fine moving forward with this, as he called it, happy medium that's there.
And that should be the threat that hangs over, and a threat might be a bit strong of a word right now. I always have Aaron Rodgers on the brain in this headspace, but that might be the threat that needs to be dangling over the Chiefs, which is, hey, we're going to find this happy medium, and this is going to be collaborative. And if at any point you show that you're not going to hold up your end of the bargain, then we will have a problem. But I think Clark Hunt and Brett Veach and Andy Reid and everybody in that front office is far from so stupid that you would have to be to start taking Patrick Mahomes for granted. If that happens in 10 years, maybe it happens in 10 years, and then I'll just have to call everybody some mean names then. But I just think this is a healthy relationship right now, and the NFL world looks at it and goes, that doesn't seem quite right, but if you say so, and the Chiefs and Chiefs fans are the beneficiaries of it, which rules.
And by the way, as we take a break, the top 20 players on the officially, have you seen the list of the top 20 players?
I saw when Matt Derrick tweeted that Mahomes deserved. I did not read the whole list.
This is fascinating. It shows you what off the field star power in even a year. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Number 3, Joe Burrow. Number 4, Micah Parsons, best
Cowboys
defensive player,
fans.
Cowboys. Number 5, Travis Kelce. The only tight end to show up, I think, in the top 10. Number 6, Jalen Hurts. Huge year last year. Number 7, Dak Prescott, Dallas. Number 8, Josh Allen. Number 9, CeeDee Lamb, Dallas, Cowboys. Number 10, TJ Watt, linebacker, Pittsburgh. Justin Jefferson, who is one of the most popular players among kids. I mean, there are Justin Jefferson jerseys at my son's elementary school, and their team won the Super Bowl in their town. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and there are Justin Jefferson jerseys. It's amazing what kids and Justin Jefferson has done. It's unreal. Kyler Murray, quarterback. Kenny Pickett, quarterback. Derek Carr, quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback. Jason Kelce.
No kidding. That is so
Jamar
good.
Chase, Justin Herbert.
Wow. More Jason Kelce jerseys than Justin Herbert ones. That's a tough break for L.A.
And Jamar Chase. There's more Jason Kelce officially licensed products sold this last year
Than Russell Wilson.
Than Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert and Jamar Chase. That's unfreaking real.
We got to start making jerseys for podcasters, I guess.
He said it's the toughest job.
It's the toughest job in the
Travis
world.
did. What a difference a year makes, man. Unbelievable. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue more Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Believe it or not, the good vibes are rolling on in your city's baseball team. And my friends at Tickets for Less, they've got 2 Royals specials going on to celebrate 2 championships. Use promo code 2015-2015 to save on Royals Mets tickets, or use code 1985 to score free VIP tailgate passes and a discount on Royals Cardinals tickets. That's right. Just enter code 1985. That's 1985 to get a discount and free tailgate passes for Royals Cardinals. Get free food and drink plus game tickets for one great price. That's 2 great specials from Tickets for Less. Use code 1985 for a discount plus free VIP tailgate passes, or code 2015 to save on Royals Mets.
For all of your car's big oh no moments, there's always a big...
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. This is a longer practice for the Chiefs today. We'll hear from them when they are done. but fully padded practice. They had the day off yesterday, so right back at it today with a longer practice for the Chiefs. And they also did the long drive drill, which we talked about last week, that Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce hate. That they had talked about it on their podcast last week, that Jason was saying, the drill for Andy Reid that he does not miss, and he was getting ready to say it, and Travis like, long drive drill, and Jason was like, yes, I hate it. They did that on the first day of padded practices last Friday, had a day off yesterday, and then they do a 15-play long drive drill today. So back at it. Andy Reid pushing them, the grind, gets back at it today. You had the day off yesterday. Better be ready to work. So that's what's going on at Chiefs training camp. We will hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. We will hear from Derek Nottie. We will hear from Justin Ross with some more video of Justin Ross at camp. He beats Joshua Williams down the sideline, and Mahomes puts it right on the 8 as he's running down the sideline. So, look, it's not just that, Joshua Williams press coverage. It's, man-to-man, cover zero, and he beats him down the sideline. It's also that Mahomes puts it right on the 8. So, it's also them sort of in connection of like his exact speed, where Mahomes puts it, all of that stuff. They are in tune. So, yeah, I will say this. I've joked about the Justin Ross hype for a while now. I'm believing a little bit more. Still cautious because we've seen Camp Darlings, but believing it a little bit more with how often it seems like Mahomes is looking his way and how often he's running with the ones with MVS and Sky Moore and Rashee Rice out there.
Your deadline on the hype train is before the first preseason game. I have decided that's the cutoff. Right. So right then you can decide if you're just in or if you're just out. No, I thought there'd be maybe a round of applause or hooting and hollering.
No, we just sat here. We just stared at you.
So
we weren't happy, nor were we. We were whelmed.
I've been there. That's kind of how I felt about the Royals yesterday. Not the game. I was losing my Balkan mind.
I was perfectly whelmed yesterday with the trade deadline.
I am just watching this rep that you're talking about on loop over here.
We're watching one rep like a Zapruder film.
Damn right. Hey, back to now who's it too soon for? The Zapruder film. Please, Jason, you disgust me. Point being, in the slot here, like this is press man, no help. Williams had the benefit of the sideline, but this is a tough rep, right? But in the slot, Trent McDuffie just puts the gloves on Richie James, and because
watch your mouth.
Whoa, sorry. 2 future Hall of Famers. It's the Battle of the Titans.
I don't think we should worry about one rep in one play.
Let's not overreact to one rep.
Anybody talking about one individual rep here? Okay.
A little side note here is that hot dang, Trent McDuffie has been absolute ice. I've really. When you talk about taking little individual clips, just find 22. He's wearing 22 now.
He is.
Find 22 because he's put out some good work.
Also, Joshua Williams is wearing Ronald Jones' number.
Yeah, which
number
is weird.
2.
Which, when I saw the rep the first time, I was like, oh, hey, Justin Ross cooked somebody out. It's number 2. Is that Boodle? Who is that? Oh, that's Joshua Williams. I forgot.
Yeah.
It'll take some getting used to.
Remigio's wearing 27 for some reason.
So weird.
It's like, who's the running back that made that diving catch?
Yeah.
Oh, a wide receiver?
Receiver.
That's odd. Yeah, all the different number changes and things like that you got to get used to. But, Trent McDuffie in 22 this year and Joshua Williams wearing number 2.
But Ross wins so fast. Like you said, it's Mahomes straight to him. And I don't know, I'm now watching Mahomes on this rep. And no, he works his way over there. Like, I don't know that was where his first read here.
Staring at a 7-on-7 rep.
7-on-7, yeah.
We are so starved for football that people
right.
are going to be excited and anticipating tomorrow night's Hall of Fame game, where most of the game is going to be played by guys that will not make either squad.
Thank you for reminding me that's tomorrow night, because I think if I go ahead and do it now, I'll remember to get my bets in.
You can hear it on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I might live tweet it, honestly. Or live exit. I wish I could exit.
Yeah, I was on Monday. One of the things that I was going to say was my best before the whole bed thing happened, and that was an actual best, was on Monday, we had passed the final week with no football until the Monday, February 12th.
Oh, we made it.
We made it. Once Monday hit, it's the last week was the last week without a football game until Monday, February 12th that week.
I knew it felt different when I walked outside. Brisk fall weather is
That's right.
already
Oh, it's
upon
beautiful.
us. Just want to put on a sweater and grab some hot cocoa.
Just felt different.
Sit
Just
outside
felt
and
different
melt.
on Monday is what it did. Yes.
Come on, I got to be able to bet on the Hall of Fame game, man. Give me the odds.
You can bet on Iowa State football.
Yeah, I can. I'm not currently playing for them, though, so it might be a weird thing for me to do.
And the Denver Broncos if you want to bet on them, too.
I don't want to do that.
Even if you play for them.
I won't even joke about betting on the Broncos. I will joke about playing for and betting on Iowa State.
Which, by the way, that story, which we'll get into before the show is over, out of Iowa, dealing with Iowa State players. But the wrestler, Paniro Johnson, who was a freshman all Big 12 wrestler, placed 1,200 bets for $46,000 worth of bets that he placed. Wow.
Men, summer is here. It's a time to vacation, get outside, and enjoy life with the one you love.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Hornblue out there in St. Joe at training camp practice today. We'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, Derek Nottie, Justin Ross will be at the podium today in the tent. We may be playing that by ear and dancing a little bit and adjusting because they do have a tornado, at least. No, excuse me, lightning. Jeez Louise.
Whoa, hey, whoa.
Lightning.
Whoa.
Oh. Lightning. Lightning. Lightning.
And that's not just Justin Ross's routes, although they are electric.
Boogie woogie. Lightning in the area that could have them go inside from the tent in the press conference to then go to a different place. Just as a heads up there. Not tornado. Lightning. Lightning. Ka-chow. That's what's going on up there. And we will adjust accordingly with whatever happens. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation to join us. 913 text says, it's forever going to be Twitter.
Yeah, it definitely.
Text says, what was McDuffie? 21?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Now
went
he's
to 22, and Thornhill left. Like you said, it was Joshua Williams taking Ronald Jones's number. So this is newly suspended Ronald Jones. PEDs, apparently. A couple of games out. There are a couple other shifts now. So now Mike Edwards is wearing 21. Wanye Morris, I think, is 57 now. I think he's your Breland Speaks Orlando Brown Jr.
I'll take your word for it.
Follow-up.
Text says, is there a line yet for Kelsey mustache rides? That can be in St. Joe in about an hour. I don't know. You want to text Matt Derrick?
A betting line or a physical line? So I'd take you over.
It sounds like a physical line.
Who wants a mustache ride? I do! I do! You get that reference at all, Josh? Super Troopers, that's fine.
No, I don't. Sorry. I
Text
think about
says, it's never too late to jump on the Ross train. I do like your idea,
Too late to get a good seat.
Yeah, I do like the idea of to really claim that you were there when this was a garage band before they turned mainstream.
Yep.
That before the first preseason game, because I was late to the Pacheco bandwagon, and I have been criticized since then.
Yeah.
I have been told about how dumb I am, how stupid I am. I don't know football. Mark all of these for Friday.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Regardless of wanting Mahomes over Deshaun Watson, not believing immediately that Pacheco was the second coming of Barry Sanders, I obviously missed the boat on that one.
But you have a full-on, not even a Jerick McKinnon jersey. You have actually tattooed McKinnon 1 on your back since being very correct about Jerick McKinnon from the jump. So you win some, you lose some.
That's true. That's how I am with Richie James right now. I've been on the Richie James bandwagon, so I'll be on that one before the first preseason game.
You were on the Rashee Rice bandwagon at least a little bit pre-draft.
I was on the bandwagon before the draft happened, so we'll see. A few of them. There were a few players that he was one of the few that I would have liked in the second round.
Yeah.
So it's not Rashee Rice or bust.
Right.
But there were a few of them that I would have liked. Tex says Lightning's the wrong number 95 showing up at camp. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I like that one a lot.
That's really good. You have to know the number of Lightning McQueen in cars.
That was Reed? The intern? I hate that text so much.
Come on, man. You can't be. That was a stupid note and a bad text and not funny.
Is that not first, he's last, the intern? Finished second in Intern Jeopardy.
So much for being about speed.
Is that first loser intern?
You could check yourself.
No, that's really well done. I like that one.
That's great.
Number 95, Lightning. Ka-chow. Yeah, so. Tex says he's more Bo Jackson than Barry Sanders. Yeah, that's true. Pacheco is more Bo Jackson than Barry Sanders. That is true. I was late to that party, and I apologize for that profusely.
You should. There should be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Drake just sent me the weather map in St. Joe. This doesn't look so bad, Drake. This is just a little rain. Never hurt anybody. It's just mostly green. It's how these pressers.
There's some yellow and red off to the left there.
Man, it'll take a minute, right? You think Andy Reid's going to go for 20 minutes today? Come on, guys. Wrap it up.
Should take some of that green in St. Joe and give it to Chris Jones.
Give it number 95.
Number 95.
Ka-chow.
That's right. Instead, we're at a caution yellow right now.
Do you know that's why?
Hopefully it doesn't get to red.
That's why Chris Jones wears number 95, actually. Big Lightning McQueen fan.
I did not know that.
That's
crazy.
because it's not true.
I thought he was a big Stone Cold fan.
Yeah, I think that seems more likely.
Maybe.
More evidence of that.
Yeah, well, we
The Twitter
have seen
handle
that.
and whatnot.
We have seen that. So we'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Nottie, and Justin Ross today at training camp. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810 text line to join us to be part of the show, part of the conversation. There was a clip of Kendo beating Donovan Smith on a pass rush and 7-on-7. So that's worrisome now. Donovan's, I mean, if he's getting beat by Kendo, what's the point? Do they trade for Orlando Brown right now? Like,
or it's great, and Joshua Kendo is the edge addition they really needed. He just needed some time to marinate. Donovan Smith's still great. Hello.
There it is, yeah.
Glass half full.
It is fascinating, though, that we are almost 2 weeks into, or excuse me, almost a full week into pads.
Yeah.
So on Friday will be a week of padded practices. And the storylines going into training camp, obviously wide receiver was the big one.
Yep.
And from where it was before the first practice and Kadarius Toney getting injured and may miss the first, game or so, to what it is now with wide receivers is a fascinating turn. But interesting that the offensive lines have. Oh, here's Andy Reid.
Our hearts go out to them for the death of mom there and to the kids. It's a terrible thing that happened. We've obviously reached out to them and we'll stay that way. Continue to support them by contact. So, and then Mosaic for the job that they did, their staff, of helping and the best they could. So, terrible thing, but again, our blessings go to their family. As far as the injuries go, L'Jarius Sneed, we held him out. He's just got his knee is sore, so a little bit of inflammation in it. We're going to just keep that calm down as we go. Townsend, Tommy has a sprained ankle, but you saw him out here. It's not too bad. Michael Dana with the calf strain, still getting better. Jody, you know about that. Nazee, he again, that one. Isaiah Moore and Kadarius, all those you're aware of. So, all in all, good work today. I let the guys practiced hard. They challenged each other. It's always tough coming from a day off, but the tempo was great. And again, they caught a break with the weather. It's nice and cool out here. But I was impressed with how they challenged each other. Time's yours.
Andy, you're so process and grind oriented, but I wonder if you find yourself doing anything visually or verbally to sort of keep the suggestion planted about what the big goal is here.
Yeah, so with the locker room the way it is, the guys know, what the plan is and what this does for you when you come out and work hard. And so I've got good leadership there. And you can't do it without that. You can't do it without guys buying in and understanding it. I mean, they're willing to work and push themselves, which ends up paying off for them when the season starts and throughout the season. So they trust that. The new guys are trusting the old guys are telling them.
And Joshua Williams was saying the other day that you've been saying edge as a sort of code word or keyword to keep them thinking about not being complacent. Is that correct? And
well, you want to maintain that. You want to maintain your edge as you go through daily. Make it a habit, and that edge helps drive you to be the best you can be that day. And then you finish that one, you line up the next day and do that. So it's a grind going through camp. Like I said, I like the effort that's being put forward. The mindset's good, so they're challenging each other, which is the most important thing.
What's it like when you see a guy like Justin Ross have to have a redshirt year to really learn the system and meetings to see how the guys operate on a week-to-week basis and to have success so far in this camp?
Yeah, he's doing good. It was a redshirt year that he probably didn't want to have, right, with the injury. But he's done a nice job. He had a good off season, and then he's worked his tail off here, and he just needs to keep doing that. It's how you answer the bell every day and push through it. So, but he's got the right mindset to do that.
Well, Andy, Turk Morgan was back out there. What can he add to the defensive line now that he's getting healthy?
Well, Turk, has that great quickness and strength, great combination there, good pass rusher, and he's strong. You know, he's a strong player who has experience. So adding him into the mix is a good thing. That's a positive thing for us. We just got to take it slow as we go with him and make sure he's okay. You know, ramp him up there.
What would be a timeline for Turf to kind of get back into the mix?
Yeah, we'll see. We try to keep open communication with him and just see how it goes. You know, day by day, and you know that's the best way to handle these type of things. So serious injuries.
A lot of training camps, right? How much beyond like rule changes, limiting hits? How much does your training camp evolve each year? How different is this year from last year? And
Yeah.
When you get new ideas, where do they come from since you've been the head coach for so long?
Yeah. So it's normally what you feed them, new plays, schemes, those type of things that challenges them. As far as the training camp goes, it's similar. Now the rules obviously dictate. We had a different conditioning program for the offensive defensive line. That means there's lightning. Offensive defensive line. You guys don't care. Offensive defensive line. But other than that, we keep it kind of the same. You know, there's no easy way to get yourself into shape, football shape.
Last one, Sam.
Andy, when you talk about edge, like what comes to mind? How do you define it?
Yeah, challenge each other. And if you can do that, every time I line up, I'm going to do my best against that guy. That's the edge. All
right, thank you.
All right, good.
All right, there's Andy Reid. I don't know if they will continue with players now or move to a different spot, but the horn there was lightning, which you don't care. There is lightning, so here's Patrick.
Talk to Chris. What's your role in this?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Chris, not necessarily about contract stuff. That's how I am about all things. I never talk about the contract. I just talk about football, how he's doing. I mean, he's working out. He's staying in shape. All that will handle itself, and all I can do is just be supportive, be a teammate. I mean, that's one of the guys that's been a staple of this organization for a long time. So hopefully we get him back in camp as soon as possible. We got Justin Ross coming later. Just your impressions of his training. Yeah, he's had a good one. Learning the offense fast. You can tell he's been in the offense for a year now. Obviously making big plays. He's getting more and more involved in those first team reps, and so a guy that I have a lot of hope for, that he can be a really good player in this offense.
Best of teammates. How do you balance staying in the moment and the grind, but also kind of bringing up the big picture, just planning thoughts about that? Do you do a little bit of both?
We talked about that at the beginning of the first team meeting. You talk about the goal of the entire season, and then now it's every day. It's just getting better, making sure you're getting better in the classroom, getting better on the field, or watching film, whatever that is. And then whenever you get your opportunity, you go out there and make it happen. And that's all we kind of think about is day by day right now. And then I'm sure before that first game, we'll have that same conversation and then go game by game.
Do you have any kind of catchphrase that you just say those as a reminder of the big thing? You find yourself just saying?
No, I'm not a catchphrase guy. I just try to keep guys motivated. That's just by continue to go out there and work, and just have that mindset every single day.
Pat, it looks like you guys had more wins there today. Just what you've seen from
Yeah, I mean, he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run the ball really well, and he's getting better and better with the protection stuff. So I think they're just continuing to get him reps. We're going to have a deep running back room, and it's always good to have those guys that we can trust to be in there for the big moments of the game.
I know coaches talk.
Either one. We're going to do these last three, and then we got to
early
go
in
on.
camp, especially push it. Don't be afraid to throw interceptions. I
Yeah.
know you embrace that, but is there a time in camp where you start scaling it back? Are there mileposts like, okay, now it's time to be more precise, and the mindset changes?
Not necessarily. It's just whenever you make a mistake, just don't do it again. I think just don't do repeat type of interceptions. If you throw a ball in a tight window, it gets tipped up or picked, I mean that's fine. I mean that's pushing it and trying to make it happen. If you throw a ball but if you throw a ball and it does get picked and it's not in the right spot and it's a bad interception in your brain, just make sure you don't repeat that same mistake. Learn from it and just keep moving on.
All right, 1, 2, 3, quickly.
Patrick, you're a guy that has been successful with the impromptu plays on the field. You talked about Richie James earlier. Keep running.
Yeah.
How long does it take for a guy to pick up on for you to keep running?
Well, I think Richie's been doing a great job of it. There's just some things I tell guys that I don't think you do it a lot of other offenses. I was scrambling to the left, and he tried to work back, and I told him just run down the other sideline. I'll still throw it to you. And I know that's not really taught in a lot of the other offenses, but just him having that mindset, knowing that the whole field's open at all times, and I'll throw it back across the field and try to keep it away from the defenders.
Quick. Patrick, you see that competitive edge in you, and Andy talked about keeping that edge in the team. How do you instill that edge in the team?
Yeah, I think we all have it. We have a lot of guys out here that are super competitive, but it's about just doing it the right way. I mean, Trav punching the guy, not necessarily the way you want to do it, but you love the fire. You love the fire both sides of the ball, trying to finish to the last second. But, I mean, that's just the type of guys we are. We're going to compete. We're going to argue out there on the football field, and then we're going to love each other in the locker room because we got a lot of dudes that are super competitive on this team.
Last one, quickly. 2 straight years where there's been a lot of turnover in the wide receiver room. When was it last year that you sort of recognized that it was all going to fit together?
It's just out here. It's kind of how I feel this year. I mean, it's just when you have a lot of guys that can rotate in that I trust is going to do the right decision and make the right play and make the play when they're called upon, that's when you know you're in a good spot. And I feel like that now. I mean, you look at our depth chart of receivers, and I've always said that every one of these twos can make the football team. And that speaks to Brett Veach, Coach Reed, bringing in the right guys, and these guys working their tail off. And, I mean, I've been in there with all type of different receivers, and we have a lot of guys that can make plays in that room.
All right, thank you, Brad.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Derek Nottie. We'll hear from Justin Ross. He talks with Chris Jones, but no contract talk. They don't talk contract. They talk football. He's staying in shape. Can't wait to get him out there. We will hear from Derek Nottie and Justin Ross. They may be moving them with the Lightning. Boy, I'll tell you what, if Lightning means we don't get to hear from Justin Ross,
I'm going to be absolutely furious.
There will be a lot of people yelling at clouds today.
That's right. I'm going to be Brady Singer out here. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to fight the rain.
Screaming at clouds. Just yelling at it. What are you waiting for, huh? Okay, they're in carts, riding inside. We're going to take a break. We will come back. We will hear from Derek Nottie and Justin Ross. So anticipated, we have to take some time to let it marinate before we hear from those guys next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Joshua Briscoe here to tell you about Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. They're hosting the biggest fantasy football tournament of all time, Best Ball Mania 4. $15 million in total prizes with $3 million to first place. The Underdog Fantasy...
walked inside to the indoor practice facility. We'll hear from Derek Nottie and Justin Ross when they start talking. But waiting for the assembled media to then reassemble. Assemble. So we'll hear from those guys when that happens. I do want to react to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes a little bit. And as we're reacting, if somebody starts talking, we'll shut up and let somebody else talk. Not what happens very often on the show. But today in practice, Richie James was told by Patrick Mahomes to just keep running. Because apparently Richie James was working the left side of the field. Mahomes started running to his right, and Richie James then cut it across the field to work back towards Mahomes. And he said, no, man, just keep running. I'll get you the ball and keep it away from the defense. And which is a natural instinct from Richie James when he has caught footballs from Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, Jimmy G, and Daniel Jones. In his 4 years, those are the quarterbacks he has caught a football from. The receptions he has had in his career are from Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, Jimmy G, and Daniel Jones. So, yeah, he's probably not used to just the quarterbacks going the other way. I'm just going to keep running down the field because I may get the football. That's going to have to be coached out of him by playing with number 15.
That was the funniest part of anything from Reid or Mahomes for me, which this idea that Mahomes just says, well, we do a lot of stuff that not a lot of other offenses do. Yeah, no kidding. Not just those quarterbacks, although a hilarious list of names.
Yes.
In college and high school and peewee, hey, when the play breaks down, work back toward the quarterback, and try to help make something happen is a great rule of thumb. That you get to Arrowhead, or in this case St. Joe, I guess, you get to the Chiefs, and all of a sudden the rule of thumb is, no. We're breaking those rules because our quarterback breaks those rules all the time, and it works. So just stick to what you're doing. And really, if you think about it now, I mean, Mahomes is in part, I think, doing some of that to affect the defense. Like, he knows, if I go over here, I'm going to eventually break the brains of some defenders who are going to have to either really respect me so much that I can roll this right out into any number of options, running it, something checked down in front of me, or I can go back across the field, down the field, just, no, across the body. It's not a problem because I'm Patrick Mahomes. That's just not true for anyone else.
It's a low-key humble brag / cocky way of sort of just presenting reality in a press conference of, well, we do some things in our offense, like you said, that we do some things in our offense that other offenses do, like I run to the right and the other guy runs down the sideline and I throw him the football down the field. Yep. So, hey, fast guy who's a kick and punt returner, just keep running because I'll get it there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we do some things here that other offenses don't do, like other offenses have never done before.
Just breaking rules.
And by the way, with that motley crew of quarterbacks that we were talking about with Richie James over the last couple of years, because he missed all of 2021 with a knee injury. So 2020 and 2022, the last 2 years, he has combined 80 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 2 years with those quarterbacks.
So like Josh Gordon Brown's quarterbacks right there.
Yes.
I mean, that is he should get to double his official stat line just giving
right?
quarterbacks.
I mean, that's a total of 80 receptions, 963 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 2 years, catching footballs from Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, Jimmy G, and Daniel Jones.
Every C.J. Beathard reception, you should get a double.
That's where my excitement level comes in with Richie James, is what he was able to do in those offenses with those quarterbacks, that now you've got this prolific offense that will get you open, find ways to put you in space, and you've got Patrick Mahomes throwing you the football where you don't have to break off your route to go a different way because Mahomes is pressured,
right,
that you can just keep running deep and he can get you the football. So we'll see. But that's also true of really any wide receiver that's heading into the Chiefs, except for an MVS or a Justin Watson type player,
right,
that, you're talking about Tom Brady and, Aaron Rodgers, who they were catching the football from. But other free agents typically, Juju was catching from Big Ben, but that was late Big Ben. That was retired or should have retired Big Ben. Players like that, you're now in this system. But Richie James might be the extreme example of quarterbacks he's played with, and now he gets the best in the NFL.
And again, I think there's a dangerous point if you take this all the way to its logical conclusion, but this idea that you can find receivers who have been pretty good in non-ideal situations and put them in an ideal situation and say, hey, Travis Kelce's over there. We just need you. We need this from you. We need you to understand how this offense is churning, and then we're going to figure out the way to have success with it. That does give you this option to do more with less in your wide receiving core. Not to the extent that the Packers did for years, and like we've talked about a million times now, the Chiefs keep drafting receivers in the second round. They're not afraid to pay pass catchers. They're still paying Travis Kelce, all of that. But if you can get, and you would assume you would, if you can get the best version of Richie James ever, because you're the best quarterback ever to throw him the football, maybe just period. But like that upgrade has to mean something for you, and this is the place where you'd be able to pay that off. And it's also another reason that I think it's pretty easy to buy into at least one or two of these guys that are kind of unknowns having good steps. Maybe one guy has a good step. Maybe one guy takes a huge leap. And if that's the case, then you go, all right, yeah, this is yet another mutually beneficial relationship where Mahomes and these young pass catchers or these new pass catchers should be able to put up, hopefully, career years. It's a lot to bet on, but that's what you're rooting for.
So Richie James went to Middle Tennessee State.
Who did he catch from there?
That's exactly what I was wanting to look up. He's Brent Stockstill. He caught passes from him, and he caught passes from also Brent Stockstill. And his other year at Middle Tennessee, Brent Stockstill. So he caught a lot of passes from Brent Stockstill. I bring that up because of the hilarity of Brent Stockstill, Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, Jimmy G, and Daniel Jones are the quarterbacks that Richie James in his college and pro career has caught footballs from, where Justin Ross is Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes.
Unbelievable.
Justin Ross has caught footballs from. Actually, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence was there Justin Ross's last year. That might have been DJ Ungalolele, whatever his name was. But I think he and Trevor Lawrence showed up together. Or his true freshman year was Trevor Lawrence's first year of actually playing because, he came in and subbed a little bit. But so he's caught footballs from Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes, has Justin Ross. So he's had a little bit easier time to catch some footballs than a guy like a Richie James.
I have done some research here.
Okay, Brent Stockstill?
On Brent Stockstill.
Yes.
So he is currently the quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator at Middle Tennessee State.
Okay.
The Blue Raiders.
Yeah.
Head coach of Middle Tennessee, Rick Stockstill.
Oh, there it is. Nepotism. That's the only reason he was playing quarterback.
He did end up being like the career leader in a whole bunch of Middle Tennessee stats and stuff. But
you're saying he was good enough? Coach's
kid, just a grinder, loved the film room, and Rick Stockstill running that program. Got I believe this is his son. I'm working on it still, but
it'd be odd if Rick Stockstill.
What if it's his nephew?
Could be. You're right.
His hot throwing nephew.
Arch Manning. He ain't Peyton or Eli's son.
It's a great point.
Brent Stockstill, if you're wondering, ended his Middle Tennessee State career with 106 touchdowns and 35 interceptions. Because one of the things we wrote down in the format today was let's get in and break down Brent Stockstill
career.
But it is fascinating when you talk about like players and situations they end up in, where we talk about quarterbacks all the time, right? Quarterbacks and where they end up in and what system they're at and how much of a difference that can make. Where we're talking about a couple of players here that could be the 6th and 7th receivers on the team, and their career in catching footballs from different people, where Richie James is that crew of quarterbacks, and Trevor and Justin Ross is Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes. It's pretty good to be catching footballs from those guys.
Brent is Rick's son, by the way, confirmed according to Wikipedia.com.
Good to know. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Did we try to get Brent Stockstill on the show?
Please. I mean, MVS, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if you're a free agent and you're wanted by that team, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like. I mean, obviously, money can be a big difference maker. If I'm going to get more money over here, then yes, the quarterback's a little bit worse, but I'm getting a lot more money. And Justin Watson from Tom Brady to, Patrick Mahomes and things like that. That would be a big part of my decision.
Yeah.
Is where I'm going to go and play football and who the quarterback is going to be.
And it's probably not going to matter if here's an example that I'm not having to work very hard for, DeAndre Hopkins, because this was probably the best deal on the table for him, and he's not assuming he's going to get another 2-year deal after this one. So at some point you say, all right, I've had a great career, I got to make a little more money, and we're going to grind this thing out. but especially when you're in that Juju Smith-Schuster place, when you're on that 1-year deal, a chance to revitalize, and then maybe go get a bigger deal next, why on earth would you not? I mean, it's the best tiebreaker ever, and you'd probably leave a little money on the table.
Justin Ross is walking up. Apparently, it is on water that he's doing that. So he will be talking with the media here very soon. In fact, he's the one that brought the lightning just by his presence. So here he is.
Lots of hype, lots of news. Just how you feeling going into camp, and what's it been like for you?
I'm feeling good, man. You know, I've just been taking advantage of every opportunity that I try to get, and it's just feel good to be back out there for real.
What was it like last year, taking that whole time off and rehab and watching them, go win the Super Bowl?
It was great. It was great to see everything and be able to get in the system, but obviously it was a little pain for me because I want to be out there playing, and I already had like a year off before then, so it was a little pain, but it was a great experience for sure.
How do you feel like when Michael Parsons and T. Higgins and guys like that are tweeting about you and your talent and the impact you're going to make?
They real good guys, man. I've been knowing them guys for a long time now, so feel good to have them backing me up and just knowing what I can do.
Physically, how do you feel right now?
I feel great. Yes, sir. I feel great.
What was the first day of pads like for you, Justin, considering it's been a while?
It was very exciting. I was real anxious, real just excited just to get out there and get back to it, really.
Yeah, and the first hit, the first couple pops?
Beautiful. I loved it. I couldn't wait.
Justin, considering you haven't played in a real game in a while, what are your expectations for yourself this season?
Just to take advantage of that opportunity. You never know what the future may bring, but right now I'm just taking it step by step, really.
How far have you seen the chemistry with Pat come since the beginning of camp?
Great quarterback, man. I feel like if you're open, he's gonna get it to you for sure. So that's what I've been trying to do, just create separation and keep playing.
Do you feel like you have to live up to the hype? I mean, they talk about stuff on Twitter and on social media. Do you feel like you have to live up to that?
I actually deleted my Twitter. I try to block out all that stuff and just keep going day by day, keep stacking them good days.
Can you talk about the wide receivers battles against the DBs? It's been pretty heated on both sides.
Oh, it's been great, man. We got some great DBs over there. Obviously, some great receivers. So it's gonna be a big battle every time.
Is there any question in your mind physically that you could be ready to go week 1 if you make this team?
You say any question?
Any question in your mind? Yeah.
Oh no, sir. Yeah, when that time comes, I'm gonna be ready.
Seeing how many rookies had success last year, how much was that motivating or inspiring when you do get your opportunity?
It was real motivating just seeing like they're gonna create opportunities for you, and you just gotta go out there and make the play. Really.
Are you confident you'll make the team? Like, how much does that enter your mind as you go through camp?
I kind of just stay day by day. Make sure I keep stacking them good days, and whatever the future brings, I'll be ready for it.
That first preseason game is going to be 21 months exactly from your last college game. How much are you looking forward to that, and what do you want to learn about yourself in that game?
Very excited, man. I'm ready to go out there, take some hits, man. Hopefully, just have a great game, win the game.
Being out there in camp, what do you feel like you bring to the offense?
Explosive dude, tall dude, go get a jump ball, run pretty good routes. Feel like I can bring a lot to the table.
MVS said he took you and Rashid kind of under his wing just because y'all have the similar build. What impact has he been on you so far?
Oh, he's been a great impact. I look at MVS like a big brother for sure. He's always that guy that's going to want you to finish that rep and always going to want you to finish the catch and everything like this. So I look at MVS as a big brother for sure.
You mentioned these practice thuds and as beautiful, and you're looking forward to the hits. How much do you maybe need that first preseason game to get these tackles under your belt to feel okay? I'm good to go.
I feel like it'll be important just knowing that I can go out there and take real good hits and everything like that. I feel very confident in myself with that, so I feel like it'll be real good for me.
Justin, Patrick obviously doesn't throw. You've seen a lot of those in camp. Are you encouraging him to throw the balls like that?
I mean, wherever his place, I'm gonna try to go get it. So, of course, he's gonna throw it his way if he however he wants to throw it. But however he throws, I'm gonna make sure I try to go get it.
What is Patrick like as just a teacher and a coach on the field that's helping you to come along?
Great leader, great person, great player. He's gonna always help you out when you need help, and whenever you need anything on the field, he's gonna make sure he's there to give you that extra boost.
What's been your favorite moment of camp so far, given that this is your first time through it?
I say the whole thing, man. The whole thing. It's been a minute since I went through a full camp like this, so I'm very excited for everything that's here to come.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Justin.
He's real. There's Justin Ross. It is a real person. He's a boy. He's a real boy. He is excited about camp and a few things to take away from that and talk about. We'll hear from Derek Nottie whenever he starts his press conference. But interesting point from Matt. 21 months to the day, November 13th, when he last suited up in an actual football game in college. Of November 13th of 2021 was the last time he played football with pads on. And he put pads on again in an actual practice and getting hit and everything last Friday. As he said, loved it. The first couple pops, loved it.
Did you ever get hit in full pads and think, beautiful?
Oh, thank God I'm getting hit in full pads again. Oh, my goodness. But I bet November 13th of 2021, he didn't think the next time he would put on pads in a practice, full-on pads and a practice and, go up against other guys would be July, what was that, 29th of 2023? But that's the journey.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear it in his voice of like, I'm loving it every day doing what I got to do, stack good days. And are you confident you'll make the team? I'm just trying to get every day, stack good days, and we'll see what happens. And whatever the future holds, I'll be ready for it. And so, yeah, I hope he is as good as advertised. It was a really good question of do you feel pressure to live up to the hype?
Yep.
Because there's been so much around you. And he's like, I deleted Twitter.
Stock up, man.
I blocked that out.
Wide receiver 1.
I deleted Twitter, so I don't know about the hype and everything, which he's got to know about the hype, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because he knew about Micah Parsons and T. Higgins coming out and saying, hey, this dude's for real. This is the real first-round talent and everything here. So he knows that people are excited about him, I'm sure, but it's not quite the same as, being logged on 24/7 and good on him for just saying, I'm just going to delete this. It's a smart man.
Absolutely. So that means that is a player that you won't get into it on Twitter with.
I've had
guaranteed
great relationships on Twitter. Justin Reed and I have been totally pleasant.
That's right.
Maybe it was Tyrann Mathieu. Maybe it was me. Somebody had a bad day.
Which one?
It could have been both of us.
Could have been. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it was both of us. He let Taylor Heineke get out of a sack. I had my Twitter mentions explode for like 2 weeks. It was fine.
That's right. In both ways, both positive and both those flying in to take the defense of Tyrann and flying in to say, no, he missed the sack. Like, he's a football player. Like, it's what he's paid to do. Like, come on.
There were more people in Group A there, but yeah, I mean, there was.
It wasn't balanced.
It wasn't an even mash.
There were a lot more people that were flying in.
Game of Thrones, Jon Snow pulling the sword out for the horde.
Caping with the group of people that were there.
HOARD.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there you go. He's not long-winded. He's probably not going to host a radio show at any point in his career, but he doesn't need to as long as he's hosting touchdowns and receptions and yards in this offense. The last time he caught a touchdown in a game was September 25th of 2021, so almost 2 years. We'll see, if he catches a touchdown. I'm just saying the last time he saw the end zone in an actual game, August 13th, he'll be back there. Knock on wood, everything goes fine for the next 11 days, but August 13th, next Saturday, he'll be out there playing football in pads. And look, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of hope, and it's because you got him for nothing.
Yep.
I mean, if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. It's just been fun conversation and banter of dreaming of, how good he could be, and did you steal a... Look, they stole Trey Smith.
Yep.
There's no other way to describe that. They stole Trey Smith. He should not have been there in the 6th round. And whatever the Chiefs doctor saw as to why they felt like it was a risk they were willing to take or the value was there, because if anybody thought he was going to be this good, he wouldn't have made it past the 2nd round. He certainly wouldn't have made it to Saturday in the draft. He would have been gone on Friday. Even the Chiefs didn't view him as, we got to spend a 2nd or 3rd rounder on this guy. They got him in the 6th round. We find out Trey Smith's own words saying he was misdiagnosed. That's ultimately what came about from that, and he's good moving forward. He should not have been there in the 6th round. And that's what makes the Trey Smith, play, because it's not just that, he's really good for a 6th rounder. He's really freaking good for an NFL guard is what he is. Like, Jalen Watson was really good for a 7th rounder. But Trey Smith is a whole nother level of good at his position, in respect to the other players at his position in the NFL. Jalen Watson's a good player for a 7th rounder and someone that offers nice depth for your team and can step in and you don't feel like you've got Orlando Scandrick out there that you're just getting toasted.
No Mo Claiborne getting called in.
Just getting toasted. This guy can at least hold his own. He's not Jalen Ramsey, but he's also not going to be the bottom of the barrel. The excitement is that you didn't spend a 2nd or 3rd rounder hoping that, well, if you get nothing from this guy, you wasted that. And 2nd and 3rd rounders need to freaking play on your team if you're going to be paying some of these guys. If he turns out to be anything, it's more value than what you've spent on him.
And I went ahead and actually wrote this down and kind of pre-marked myself so I can just have this in the cuts.
Good idea.
I want to talk about Justin Ross again and more and forever. But in this instance, I also noted, we can all hear it, and we are listening for this in press conferences because we listen to a lot of them. Kept those answers pretty tight. Like you said, maybe he's not going to have the longest pressers ever, but I thought of this mid press conference for him. He's in a really weird spot because he hasn't proven anything at the NFL level. He hasn't done anything at the NFL level, and he's gotten discussed way more this offseason than Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who has had a long and successful NFL career to this point.
And is a big reason why the Chiefs are wearing a Super Bowl ring.
Yes,
in that
absolutely.
game against the Bengals.
Absolutely, and has been quiet because we more or less think we know kind of what he's going to be. No one's saying that we're not talking about MVS because we're expecting a drop-off. It's like, yeah, he'll probably be him again.
Yeah.
There could be growth. There could be regression. We don't really know. But Justin Ross has had so much conversation around him. He hasn't asked for any of it. And if he goes out there, and I think it's a totally fair question to be like, hey, do you feel like you're going to make this roster? Like, are you a It feels silly to be like, no, I mean, obviously he is going to make the roster. So that's like, why even wonder? But then also, undrafted free agent who was on IR all year last year, who's proven nothing at the NFL level, he shouldn't feel like he's a lock. Like he hasn't proven that. I'm not saying that to be like finger waggy about it. I think he has the right mindset. But it's just kind of funny that one of the most, I think, maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but pretty real, one of the most discussed stories of this camp and one of the most anticipated press conferences is an undrafted free agent from a full year ago who has not played football and has not played meaningful football in 21 months.
Here is Derek Nottie. I want to put some perspective on that too, but here's Derek Nottie is still walking up, so he's still walking up. He is walking right now.
He's currently actually pushing 4 reporters in front of him, just walking them back to the mic.
Walking on the sled is what he's doing. All right, here's Derek Nottie.
I've been working with, from my D-line coach to all my dudes in the back, in the locker room. Feels wonderful.
How's camp going so far?
Man, we in St. Joe. Is when our head coaches get Coach Reed. It's going to be tough no matter what, but we grinding it out.
What have you seen from Keandre and Felix?
They have a lot of potential. They show flashes day in, day out coming to practice. They're like sponges, especially Keandre's. I've been working with him, just trying to make sure he stays locked in with all things we got to do. Felix, he's improving every single day in terms of one-on-ones, pass rush, things like that. I expect a lot of promising things with these 2 kids.
Given you've been through this before, Derek, what are you trying to get most out of yourself on this time around in camp?
I mean, with training camp, I always try to find something to make me an even better football player. From technique to take care of your body, watching more film, just going back to the basics.
Which one sort of jumps out to you right now for this year's camp?
Really just more fundamentals.
What kind of fundamentals?
From techniques, for playing the run. I've been telling a lot of our guys since day one, you may feel good now, but you got to build up a routine to take care of your body because it'll be a long one.
Without Chris here, how important is it to mentor some of the younger defensive linemen so they can take full advantage of the reps that they're getting without Chris here?
I mean, without him here, it's just kind of how we are. It's got to be how it is. Whoever's here, we're here to work. So at the end of the day, we got to focus on what we can focus on.
What have you seen from a guy like Daniel Wise who's getting some of those opportunities?
He's been working his butt off for sure.
Early on, but what does having Turk Wharton kind of back on the field for that position group for you guys?
I mean, sure, we love having Turk back, man. So he's the type of guy that we want to work play with. Fight hard when he went down. We was all hurt about it, but him coming back, trying to go balls to the wall like he normally does, it feels good for the D-line room.
I saw some guys pretty excited to get him back out there when he walked out. Was that a cool moment to see him back out?
It was, honestly. Seeing him, I feel like everybody on the defense was happy to see him back.
How do you assess last year for you individually?
I mean, with me, I always just see places where I need to improve on. I feel like I do that about every year. I always try to take up another level every single year.
What do you think led you back to the Chiefs? I know you were available, so what led you back to Kansas City?
To come back to the Chiefs, I feel like it was more just what we're building here, and I just want to stay to be part of it.
What did it mean to win a Super Bowl a second time? And what was that? Take us back to that moment when you knew you guys were world champions.
Just like how it was the first time, it was just, I couldn't believe it. It was in my head, it's always too good to be true, but it was just always a long time coming to get all the way to there again and to win it. You know, we've been through a lot of obstacles in my career from losing the play in the AFC Championship, going there and winning it, going there and losing it, and going there and losing at the AFC Championship game, and then to come back again and win it. It's a lot of trials and tribulations, and it just goes to show with the guys in our locker room how much we fight to get to where we need to go.
You were part of that 2018 draft class, and you were one of the last guys here. Just what does it mean that you've kind of seen the run all the way from the beginning to now?
I mean, it just goes to show that how much work is put into it, and we just got to keep climbing.
You've been here for all those Super Bowls, and of course all those camps as well. Can you tell the difference in the camp on a Super Bowl year and then not a Super Bowl year?
I believe it's still Coach Reid's training camp. It's going to be tough no matter what.
What's the toughest part this year?
Last one.
The toughest part, again, this Coach Reid's training camp. It's going to be tough no matter what. We just got to keep, it's going to be challenging. You'll never know which day is going to be that challenge, but when it comes, you got to dig deep and you got to keep pushing.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, there's Derek Nottie. There are the Chiefs press conferences today. A little delay and lightning interruption between Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Nottie, and Justin Ross there. We will. Should we take a timeout now? Okay. Drake says no. You fool.
Oh, whoa, no. Drake just shook off a break? Drake just said, no, don't break?
I was trying to throw the fastball.
Whoa.
Actually, I was throwing the changeup, and Drake was like, no, bring the fastball, man. Bring the heat.
I'm working ahead. I got this all figured out.
There we go. Love it. Love it. Drake is, that's, you know what? When you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. That is someone who's a Boy Scout. Always be prepared right there. He got his work ahead, the zone breaks badge 3 years ago. 4 years ago. You know what? 2010. 2010 is when that happened, when he got his badge.
I mean, yeah, he's had a lot of practice, and you know, if it's like a knot tying badge, you've just surrounded him with rope over the years of like, hey, here's I got more rope for you. You better either figure out a way to tie this up, or we're going long, baby.
So I want to put into perspective what you were talking about with Justin Ross in, unproven, how long it's been. We're talking about the last time he's played a football game was 21 months ago. But here's some perspective as to just what it's been for a while. He has played 10 games since. Think about this. Justin Ross has played 10 games in his life since the Chiefs beat the Texans when they were down 24-0.
Crazy.
He played the next day in the bowl game for Clemson on January 13th, the day after the Chiefs beat the Texans, and since then he has played 10 football games. Missing the next year, then playing some, then missing time, redshirt year in the NFL. I mean, the last time he played a football game where he was an everyday player, this is the guy that's going out there with Clemson every day, was the day after the Chiefs were down 24-0 to the Texans. That's a lifetime ago, by the way.
No kidding.
They have won 2 Super Bowls. The Bengals have gone from laughingstock to the biggest rival to the Chiefs. The Broncos still haven't beat the Chiefs, so that's nothing new there.
Right, that's consistent.
But, I mean, the Royals have gone from rebuilding to rebuilding in that time. Like, there's been so much that has happened in that time. Like, that's how long it's been since he has been sort of consistently a player that is, like, 10 games total of football he's played since then. How many postseason games has Patrick Mahomes played in that time since that game against the Texans?
It more, right? If you don't count that Texans game, because you've got
because that was the day before.
What is it, like 3-3-2-3 or something? Is that, I'm just kind of off the hip, but that'd be 11.
Okay,
I might be adding.
So since that game,
They might be tied.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games.
11. All right. Is that including the Texans game?
That is after the Texans game.
Okay, there you go. So Patrick Mahomes has played more playoff games.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's including the Texans game because it starts with the Tennessee game. So he played 11 games since that 51-31 win against the Texans. He's played 11 postseason games. And Justin Ross has played 10 total games.
How many total playoff games is that for Mahomes then now? Is that
14.
12 and then 2. Okay. We are nearing a full season of Patrick Mahomes playoff games. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. In 5 years.
Chiefs didn't do that in 50.
It's been a fun run.
It also puts things into context for Derek Nottie because him going through and talking about all that, I really thought like, wow, he really has been here for that whole thing.
Yep. 2019.
He was drafted in the 18 draft class.
So he's been, Derek Nottie's been on the team since before Patrick Mahomes was a star.
Same year.
No, same year, yeah.
Joined the year Mahomes was starting.
Because
that Breland Speaks draft class.
Because the postseason game he was on for Mahomes that didn't play was in 2018, but it was the 2017 season.
There you go.
Yeah, it was January of 2018. It would have been nice if he played in that one, though.
Trust is a big deal, especially when it comes to your health. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're a man suffering with erectile dysfunction,
The choice to enjoy
WHB. Let's talk a little Royals baseball. Jeff Montgomery, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Is your man cave ready? Complete your game day setup with a home equity line of credit from First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Get game day ready at ffbkc.com. Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. Monty, how are you, sir?
Well, doing pretty good, Jason. Head's still spinning a little bit from yesterday and last night, but between the trades and the walk-offs, a lot going on out at the ballpark.
Boy, what an interesting day it was at Kauffman Stadium. From guys that are out shagging fly balls and going through warm-ups that are ultimately end up getting traded, to then a game in which the Royals did not stop fighting. That has been one of the, I would say, traits of this team that has certainly been commendable throughout the year. And then down by 2 and find a way to get it done with the walk-off. But before we get into some of those things, I'm just curious, like around the clubhouse, around the team yesterday, out at the ballpark, what's the feel like on trade deadline day when there's so many names being talked about, and these guys certainly know that they're wearing a Royals uniform, they're out there going through the regular warm-ups, but at any moment they could be told, hey, you're heading to wherever we find out, L.A. and San Diego.
Yeah, I never had a chance to talk with either Ryan Yarbrough or Scott Barlow, but I did see them doing their workouts. It was kind of business as usual. I got it out the ballpark, say, around 3:45 or so, and all the way up to 5 o'clock, I'd gone up to get ready for the pregame show, and still hadn't heard anything. And the next thing you know, the rumor mill is starting to really kind of get going, and the next thing you know, it was announced. So a lot of things happened in a very short period of time. But I think up to that point, it was kind of guys are just doing their normal routine thing, because even as we heard J.J. Piccolo say, 98% of these things never happen. All the things you hear about, 98% don't happen. But sure enough, that 2% happened real late in that phase of the trade deadline, right at the wire.
Yeah, no, that was it was interesting because 5 o'clock came and went, and then all of a sudden 5:15. All of a sudden, a couple of names were thrown out there. After the game was over, MJ Melendez was being interviewed on the field by Joel about the win, and then talking about this is it's an interesting day for you guys. Look, the players know it's a business, and you start to get a better idea that it's a business. I don't know how soon in your career you get sort of that splash of cold water or whatever, but I do wonder, like, in your mind, Monty, is this one of the first ones that's sort of like in their face in the clubhouse, sort of, because a year ago it was Santana and Benintendi and Whit Merrifield, older guys, right? Jorge Soler the year before, older guys. These are the first couple of players, it seems, that sort of were around the younger players, were sort of peers with the younger players, that whether coming up through the minor leagues together and now they've been traded. Is that a different feel for a younger player when somebody that you view as your peer, your age, you've been playing with a little bit longer and in the minor leagues a little bit, that all of a sudden they get traded?
Yeah, and you see it happen, whether you're in the minor leagues working your way up to the big leagues and you get guys that are on your teams that are prospects that go to other organizations as a result of this, the trade deadline moves. But I think regardless of when it happens in your career, if it's in the minor league stage or early major league career, something that certainly not necessarily a wake-up call, but it is a reality check that you can change pretty quickly from one day to the next as far as what uniform you're going to be wearing or who your teammates are going to be. But it's part of the game, certainly an understanding that you grow into and you understand it. I think the first stage of your career, you're not really focused on anything like that. You're working on trying to find ways to progress and move up that ladder to get to the big leagues. But once you get there, certainly a little more realistic with regards to the understanding of the business side of things.
Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer, is our guest, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. When a team is struggling the way that the Royals have struggled this year, and the wins are not coming and the losses are just compiling and accumulating throughout the year, it makes it tough to sometimes watch or talk about or maybe even play the game, Monty, and be a professional. But when what's going on right now, 4 in a row, even though the Royals are so far out of it, the crowd was cool over the weekend, and how much fun last night was. You forget sometimes, certainly I do, when we watch this Royals team struggle, how much fun baseball can be when a team is playing like this and finding ways to win. And it looks like a more fun game these last 4 games, and that seems pretty obvious and simplistic. But it is just interesting that when, big hits are happening or getting outs or, stealing bases and having fun and winning games, it's just such an enjoyable game when things like that are happening.
Yeah, and that's why you play it for 6 straight months, almost every day of the week. You just, you're going your ups and your downs. And unfortunately, this year has been very unusual with regards to the way this team has not been able to find ways to win until, like you mentioned, these last 4 games. That I know on our pregame show on the television side, before the Twins series started, I made a comment that, every year you see good teams go through some losing streaks, and every year you see some bad teams go through some winning streaks. I said, we still haven't had a winning streak because at that time, the most the Royals had won was 2 games in a row. Now, sure enough, maybe jinx them or reverse jinx them into winning 4 straight. Maybe they can keep it going, but that's just so unusual for a team not to have the that little streak where it plays well and creates that excitement in the fans. And I think over the weekend in the Twin Series, this ballpark, there was like roughly 60,000 fans out there. So it was a nice weekend as far as the turnout for the games, and they were all very good games, especially that Friday night game with the walk-off grand slam. So just a lot of fun out at the ballpark. And you're right, it does kind of remind you of those those years when the teams were very competitive and going to postseason. It just creates such a great atmosphere out the ballpark.
I know it can invoke some eye rolls from some fans that are frustrated about the way this team is playing and the wins and losses and things like that. But I do think there's an element of this team continues to fight late in games, continues to be up there and battling, and that's something you and I have talked about before. That it's the losses are happening, but it's not for a fact of just quitting or a matter of sort of giving up as the game went along, and I think that's come through these last few games. That if that sort of mentality of just giving up or just succumbing to reality of we're going to lose this game, that over the course of a month or 6 weeks or so, that sort of sets in. And if you're losing a game, you don't come back in those games. And even though they've been losing, they've been doing those things. And I talked about it. I think these 4 games is sort of what happens when you just sort of maybe stay with that, sort of stick with that mentality that you're going to keep grinding and keep playing hard and keep trying to win games late. And even though you're however 30 games out of it, that you're finding ways to come back and win because that mentality has been there. And for me, again, it might sound little league-ish, but I'm happy that there was something to show for it for a stretch of 4 games to where what they had been doing wasn't resulting in a lot of wins in fighting through the 9th and 10th inning or whatever, that they get a few wins out of continuing to battle, and they see that hard work and the mentality of not quitting sort of paying off.
Well, I think a lot of credit goes to Matt Quatraro, their manager, and his coaching staff for keeping his team kind of focused and positive every day they go to the ballpark, because there have been so many nights when they have had those games where they've been down, they fought back, and they come up on the short end. I always describe that as playing just good enough to lose.
Yeah.
And this team was in so many games that they lost, but they were not blowout games. It wasn't like the difference was exponential. It was like they were so close. Maybe one big hit or one, getting one particular out would have made a difference in a game. And the other thing I think worth noting is, like, you'll look at teams' record, for example, like the Royals. I always say the good teams are probably not as good as our record indicates at times. For example, the Tampa Bay Rays, the way they started the season, were they really that good? Well, they're a good team, but they're starting to come back to center a little bit now. And are the Royals really as bad as where the record is, being roughly 40 games under? I don't think they are, but that's just, the good teams always find ways to play good enough to win games, and the bad teams play good enough to lose games, and that's why we're hopefully seeing that turn a little bit.
Yeah.
With what this team is doing here as of late.
Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. It is 4 in a row and a balk-off last night. And by the way, well done by Joel, your colleague there, your pre- and post-game mate. That what a pull. That, well, it happened against the Royals a number of years ago, and then he went and dropped the Aaron Crow, which is what happened. So well done by Joel in remembering that. And so the question that I was going to ask you is, I'm watching the game and thinking about today's interview. I'm like, man, has that ever happened? And then He reminded everybody that it did happen against the Royals, but that was an interesting situation, Monty, because I didn't see what happened. I'm watching it, and the catcher runs out there to talk to the pitcher, and all of a sudden they point to MJ to come on home, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I rewound, and I'm like, it was almost like a really obvious balk that it starts to become a question. How did it take that long? Like, that was a pretty obvious balk, but the situation surrounding that, Monty, of how odd that was for the Royals to win in balk-off fashion.
Yeah, it is very unusual. First time the Royals have ever done that. I know they've had some walk-offs where teams have walked in the winning run. They've had some games when they've had like wild pitches that have scored winning runs. But that's the first time in Royals history they've actually won a game via a balk. And I was out all the way in left field where we do our post-game show, getting ready for the post-game show, so I couldn't see anything as far as what actually happened. Once I saw the umpires signaling for MJ to score, I went right over to the TV monitor and looked at it, and you're right, it was very obvious. The pitcher just seemed like he was kind of a little bit scrambling out there. They almost pulled it off to where they were saying it was like the pitch-com situation, but that was too late. I mean, the Royals bench had already seen it, and I was actually watching the replay of that, and there were actually some fans that I think picked up on that were knowledgeable enough to see that there was a balk. Normally that call is going to be made by the home plate umpire because he's got the best advantage point as far as watching that pitcher and seeing exactly what's going on. A lot of times there's focus from the base umpires on other things. Might be the base runners, might be something else going on, but the home plate umpire normally calls that. But fortunately, I think it was John Tumpain who was, I think, at first base last night. He did see it. They kind of had a little bit of a meeting there, and then they confirmed it. Sure enough, that was a balk. It was very obvious, and you have to make that call. A balk normally is called because you're trying to deceive the runner. That was not the case.
Yeah.
But he broke the balk rule. As a result, you have to call that.
Yeah, visiting with Jeff Montgomery. Let's talk about somebody on the mound for the Royals now that will be in even higher leverage situations, it feels like, moving forward with Scott Barlow traded to the Padres. Carlos Hernandez is looking like he will move into that closer role. J.J. Picollo last night talking about that and even saying, look, they had been preparing for this, that even when he was coming in games when it wasn't the ninth inning, he was coming in games and they were putting him in to face the top of the lineup, to face 1, 2, 3, 4 in an inning so that they can just get him more and more used to these are the players you're going to be facing more often than not in save situations, high leverage. What's that like for a player like Carlos Hernandez who's bounced from middle relief to late inning to a starter to an opener to getting more and more high leverage situations to now he's sort of viewed from the Royal standpoint as a guy who was the next candidate to be a closer for this team to grow into that role? What's that like for a younger player to do that?
Well, he's already demonstrated that the stuff is there, the ability is there. And, we hear, the discussion many times about those last 3 outs generally are going to be the most difficult for a reliever to get, last 3 outs of the game. I think now it's really boiled down to the last 5 or 6 outs of the game are the most difficult to get based on how the matchups are and so on and so forth. And even like Scott Barlow, going back a year or so ago before he was the closer, Mike Matheny would put him in sometimes in the 7th inning or sometimes the 8th inning because he wanted those matchups where he felt like Barlow was the best guy to be facing the most difficult hitters. And I think that's for Carlos Hernandez to be ready. Now there's going to be some, I'll call it blips in the radar just because it's a new role. It's something that's different. And again, sometimes those last 3 outs are going to be most difficult. And people say, why is that the case? Well, the reason is you're going to see the middle of the lineup. But if you don't see the middle of the lineup, you're going to see the 3 best available in that opposing. So you're not just going to see, lineup's going to maybe have some guys that you have some holes in the lineup that you feel like you can work or orchestrate the lineup around. So it's going to be a little bit of a transition. I think there are going to be a few bumps in the road for Carlos. We saw one actually last night when he gave up the home run. But that's just going to be part of the process of getting him there. Certainly, again, the stuff is there, and I feel confident that he will respond to this opportunity because it's an outstanding opportunity for him. He's wanted to be a starting pitcher, and if you're not going to be a starting pitcher, my opinion is that everyone in that bullpen should aspire be the ninth inning guy
Yeah.
because you've essentially proven you're the best guy available in that bullpen.
Absolutely. Jeff Montgomery is our guest, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. Cole Reagans goes to the mound tonight, a guy that came over in the Aroldis Chapman trade. And, you know, a year ago he was throwing 92 miles an hour, averaging on his fastball. And with the Royals start, he reached 100 a couple of times. And even in the fifth inning, Monty, his 78th pitch was 99. What do you see in him, and what did the Royals maybe acquire in if there's something more there from Cole Reagans? And the joke after the game was over against the Rays was, well, that wasn't in the scouting report from Cole Reagans touching 100 in the game when they thought he was going to be sitting 92 to 94. So what did you see from him, and is there something maybe the Royals saw that they could tap into to get this guy, that if he's throwing upper 90s as a starter, especially into the fifth inning, that's a little different than working 92, 94?
Well, anytime you have a big lefty that has that velocity, you have an opportunity to have something kind of, I'll call it special with regards to ability to go out, miss bats, be a power arm. You see that a lot of times coming in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, from those guys out of the bullpen. But to be able to maintain that for upwards of 100 pitches, very impressive. I think that was the thing that stood out to me was the fact that first inning he comes out and he's, I think his first pitch he threw was like 98 miles an hour.
Right.
It's like, wow, this is not what we were expecting at all. And he was, he showed glimpses of why they're excited about what he can mean for this pitching staff, and going and getting him worked to the point where he can feel good about going out and getting up to a pitch limit that's going to be reasonable for him. And I think the intention all along was, hey, he made this start, send him down, get him a couple more second half of the season. Let's see what it's all about. But I thought the first signs were very positive with regards to the potential upside.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. Jeff, let's see if it ends up being 5 straight tonight and winning back-to-back series, a sweep against Minnesota, and that can take this one against the New York Mets. Monty, I appreciate it as always. Thank you for the time, sir. Enjoy the game tonight. Looking forward to watching the game tonight. We'll see what happens. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week, Monty.
Yeah, just fun rolling. Great homestand, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famer. He is presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Is your man cave ready? Complete your game day setup with a home equity line of credit from First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Get game day ready at ffbkc.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll continue talking some Chiefs football. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer before the show is over, heading up until 2 o'clock, a Wednesday edition of The Zone. It's Sports Radio 810. It's WHB.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Believe it or not, friends, you are running out of time to draft $1 million fantasy football team. That's right. Underdog Fantasy is running the largest fantasy football contest of all time. Best Ball Mania 4. It's $15 million in total prizes and $3 million to first place. If you like fantasy football, you're going to love the best ball format. It's a live snake draft, which is the fun part of fantasy football, but no waivers, no trades, no worrying about injuries, no weekly forgetting to set your lineup before Thursday Night Football. Not a problem in Underdog. Just draft your team and that's it. Underdog sets the best lineup for you each week of the season. You can set it and forget it until it's time to collect your cash. The winner of last year's Best Ball Mania drafted their team in July. So what are you waiting for? Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store and sign up with the promo code Briscoe, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Briscoe. I've really enjoyed my time with Underdog Fantasy. I've been playing for years. No, I just got a promo code to get you in the game. Underdog Fantasy, promo code BRISCO. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the freedom.
Thank you to Jeff Montgomery, Valley Sports Royals Hall of Famer. Trade deadline day passing yesterday, and even after it passed, Royals end up making some moves. The reaction was fun, overreaction as well, as 5 o'clock came and went, and then, we've been there before and had those conversations that let's wait a little bit. Let's wait to about 5:30 is when everything's done. If it has not been reported by 5:30, it ain't happening. And so you've got that window of 10 to 20 minutes or so that trades start coming in fast and furious. And that's what happened yesterday with the Royals in trading Scott Barlow to the Padres and trading Ryan Yarbrough to the Dodgers. Happy for Scott Barlow, a SoCal kid that, now heads back to, I think, within 2 hours of where he grew up, or at least where he played high school ball, because technically he grew up in Connecticut, but then moved to California in high school. So, his family's still there in California. So cool for him that, returns there and plays for the Padres and things like that. So he's probably got to be pretty ecstatic of getting a chance to play for a team that can go to the postseason. Incredibly talented team. Unfortunately, a team that has a established closer on it for me in Josh Hader, who already has 26 saves. But, every once in a while, you need that 2-inning save. Every once in a while, Barlow needs I think about 7 more times he needs one of those 2. Or maybe they win 3 games in a row and Hader just went back-to-back, and they're like, boom, let's throw Scott Barlow. That guy can close some games. He's got 13 already with the Royals. Boom, let's get some more of those. Just need a lot of wins for the Padres, a lot of close wins for the Padres moving forward. So.
Maybe we get this Barlow fella to 20 saves this season. Maybe we flip him in the winter and just we get some prospects back again.
That's exactly right.
That's how they got to be thinking. They got to be thinking about getting Scott Barlow to 20 saves. That's what we're looking for exactly, right?
That's it.
Was the over under
19.5?
19.5. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's 20. I just need 20 saves. I just need 7 more saves. Is that too much to ask?
There's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm telling you there's a chance.
913-912-4810. We heard from Justin Ross. We heard from Derek Nottie, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. We talked some Chiefs in the first hour. We talked some trade deadline in the first hour as well, and hearing some clips from J.J. Picollo and last night's press conference that he had. I do want to play this clip because it goes to the process of the whole thing, and it goes to a conversation we were having with Les Norman yesterday. So it feels like it was a couple of days ago because so much has happened with the trade deadline and names and things like that. We were talking about Aaron Savali, who was traded from the Guardians, couple more years of team control, 24-year-old. The Guardians are, trying to win the division, and they traded somebody like that, a 3.70 ERA, for a top 40 prospect in all of baseball, first baseman, masher, and then they go and try to find another starter in the trade market before the trade deadline. So we were talking about it from the standpoint of the Royals and saying, if Cleveland is willing to do this, that's transactional. They're in the middle of a division race. The Royals are in the middle of trying to figure out if they finish with one of the 3 worst records in baseball so that they can have the highest percentage chance of winning the lottery. They won't, but the highest percentage chance of winning the lottery. They won't win the lottery, but they will be one of the 3 teams that will have that percentage chance. And why would you not be looking at making moves like that for what could be a premier prospect? So I lamented that yesterday just in, are the Royals doing this? Here is J.J. Picollo last night, and this is where I like the process of the whole thing. This is with Todd Lebo's question in there of just, sort of his view on what took place at the trade deadline with the players they moved.
You're still just digesting this, as you said. I mean, people are going to want to grade everything.
Yeah.
I don't want you to grade the trades or whatever, but how do you feel now that you're sitting here and you've gotten through this with everything you've done in the last week?
Well, I look at Yarbs as kind of a bonus. In some respects, because we signed him this year. He's not a free agent. He's under control again next year. But if we're able to make our farm system better, then that's a great thing. We weren't overly anxious to move Yarbs. We were perfectly fine with him remaining here. He's pitching great. He's really been impressive. So I look at that as a bonus. I think Scott was the one that we wanted to get the return. Again, you go into the last 10 days and you're sort of dreaming and creating, how can we really make an impactful trade that again may change the organization. I think in our situation, it was a little lofty to be thinking that way, but we were open-minded to some names that would hurt to trade. And we let teams know that that's something we would do. But we're going to have to win the deal. Like long term, we're going to have to win the deal. We don't need to trade certain guys that have 3, 4, 5 years of control. So we have to win the deal. So where I'm really happy with what our room did was we could have given on one deal, and we didn't. We just stuck to our guns. Midday today, we said that's the deal we want. If we get that deal, we'll do it. If we don't get that deal, we're not going to do it. So when the team came back and started flipping names, no, we're not. We're going to stick to our guns. It was well thought out, and it was very comfortable. Even though it was going to hurt to make a trade like that, we were comfortable with that. So we stuck to our guns, and that's what we said we were going to do from the beginning with anybody that has real impact on this team and high-end talent and a lot of control. We weren't going to budge on that. I mean, we're still building something here. So giving up young players with control, it's got to make a lot of sense for us.
So there was a lot there from J.J. Picollo that I really like about the whole process of what took place at the trade deadline. Because, as he said, they were discussing names that would hurt. And teams knew that, quote, we're willing to do that. There was talk about interest in Brady Singer, that teams were talking about Brady Singer. I think what he's describing here is Brady Singer, in that players that have team control, a real impact, high-end talent, and a lot of control, that they're not willing to do that because they're still trying to win here. I think that's Brady Singer, someone who has high-end talent, potential high-end talent, with years of control. It has to be something that they want specifically. They would have traded Brady Singer if whatever team they were talking to, if the names were right. And he said they came back, shuffled some of the names, and he said, no, we're not doing it. We are sticking to our guns. So a couple things there. Names in a trade that would hurt. They're willing to do that. So that could be something we think about in the offseason, if that's something they do. But if you want to know if JJ is different than Dayton, he said something there that is not Dayton Moore-esque. He said, quote, we have to win the deal. Dayton Moore, because he is such a nice guy, has always said the best trades are the ones where both teams win. He has said that 1,000 times. I don't think it was just random that J.J. Picollo said, we have to win the deal. It's okay to win the deal. It's okay that you got over on a team. It's okay that they were desperate and you got a player that was a higher level than you would have got last week when they weren't desperate. It's all right to win the deal. And I think Dayton Moore was so worried about what this team may think or that team or this GM that, no, we want to make sure you win as well. We want to come together and you win the deal, we win the deal, everybody's happy. So next time we call, we can both win the deals and blah, 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 blah. Do the Rays give a bleep about whether or not the other team wins the deal or other team gets value or whatever? They look and say, we have to win this deal. If we get over and we fleece that team, great. They're the ones asleep at the wheel. Too damn bad. And if you're worried about, well, good luck calling them again. Well, if they keep getting fleeced, you're not going to call that GM. You're going to call the guy who they hired to replace that jackass.
That's exactly right.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
When I heard we have to win the deal, and that's why we wouldn't move a guy who we think has high-level talent and a lot of control, that we're not just going to move them, that we wanted specific players. And maybe the different players could have been, okay, that seems maybe it's a little bit even. No, we're not in the business of even with this player. We're not in the business of even value in return and just moving some pieces around. With this particular player in a trade that hurts, we're in the business of we will win the deal or we will not trade him. Scott Barlow, Ryan Yarborough, we may not win the deal, but we're trading this guy because of the circumstances surrounding this particular player.
Right.
Bullpen guy, Yarborough making less money. He does have one more year of arbitration, whatever. Yarbs was the throw-in, as he said. Scott Barlow was the one they wanted to get done, and they wanted Henry Williams. And eventually, the Padres at the last second said, all right, we'll give you Henry Williams. We'll keep it in the deal. So that's something to keep in mind, that was a player they identified and said, this is who we want. And the Padres eventually had to get either desperate enough or their bluff was called by the Royals, and they said, all right, we'll give you Henry. We were hoping that we didn't have to. That we have to win the deal stands out to me because for more than a decade, it was about everybody coming together and shaking hands and mutually coming away with equal value. There was a 10 on the table. You got 5 and we got 5.
Yeah.
No. How about every once in a while you get 8 and they get 2? Because that's what the Rays want to get 10-0.
They want to find what you have misevaluated, take
Yes.
it because they've evaluated it differently, and then prove to you that you evaluated wrong. And even the actual definition of winning the deal is going to be different for each team, right? There's room for everybody to be happy with the deal. And look, I mean, you don't want to have nothing but contentious relationships throughout all of Major League Baseball, I'm sure. But what winning the Kansas City Royals, the 2023 Kansas City Royals got a little worse yesterday. Their hottest starting pitcher and their closer are no longer on the team. But they feel like they won those deals because the franchise's outlook got better. The farm system got better. Their view and vision for the future is clearer now. While the Padres got better yesterday. They're going to win, they certainly hope, an extra few baseball games. I mean, few is probably a bit strong. But they're going to be in games in the 9th inning because of Scott Barlow out there slamming the door in the 8th, right? The Royals are going to have games. Last night was one of the games where you go, oh, well, we don't have all of the reliable, I mean, all of the is an exaggeration. We don't have the reliable arm in this situation that we've had previously. Carlos Hernandez moves, and you get a chance to watch a whole series of younger guys collapse as the rest of this season goes on. The bullpen's going to be a roller coaster. But the Royals feel like they won that deal because their terms are different than what the Padres are trying to accomplish right now. And that's okay, too. In fact, it's necessary to have a clear vision of what your goal actually is. And I do think that with fair questions about the Nicky Lopez deal and some of the comments JJ made pre-deadline, now 3 or 4 JJ Picollo availabilities ago, you can still ask a lot of very fair questions about where the Royals are headed. But I do think that clip's got to give you at least, about 2 minutes of confidence in where the Royals stand. It's encouraging.
Because it hit on some of the points that there were questions around this regime.
Yep.
Trades that hurt. Look, they didn't make one. So
That's right.
You can have lip service. You can say, well, we were interested in making the trade that hurt. Are you overvaluing your own player in that trade that hurts, you were actually getting what would have been good value for that player, but you just think this guy is a 9 and the rest of the league's like, actually, he's a 7. We were going to give you 8.
Yep.
They're like, no, we need 10. Well, we're going to give you 8. He's a 7. We're overpaying a little bit for this guy. No, you're underpaying. Well, you're a fool. You're not. We are not underpaying for that guy. Are you misevaluating your own player in that? But how many times have we heard like, well, they're not even interested in trading this player. No, they're not going to trade this player. This guy's got team control for the next 3-4 years. No way they're trading that guy. I mean, that sounds a whole lot like Brady Singer.
Yes.
And they may trade Brady Singer this offseason because there could be a team that's going, we can pay this in free agency for a pitcher in what should be more of a depleted starting pitcher free agent market, which could be great for the Royals, that a team can go, well, we can pay for this free agent pitcher and pay, $18 million over 2 years for Jordan Lyles, or we can trade this prospect and that prospect for the next 2 years of Brady Singer and cost control, and we can develop a little bit more. We think he's better than what we'd be paying for that guy, so we're saving money. We're moving some prospects, but we're ready to win right now. And you know what? If it doesn't work out next year at the trade deadline, we can flip him for somebody else, and we can recoup some of that we get back for the prospects we're giving up right now. I think they're certainly open for business. There's a sign that says open for business for some of these players, including a Brady Singer, maybe even a Salvador Perez.
And when's the last time that sign was up? That sign is dusty. I do not know if that sign still lights up or not, but I'm glad that it's there.
I mean, they weren't open for business for Whit Merrifield,
right?
For the longest of time. They should have been maybe they should have been more open for business for Scott Barlow, and maybe they would have got more in return for Scott Barlow a year ago. I don't know. It's certainly a risk. Every time you go into a trade deadline with a reliever and a team offers you something and you turn it down, and the next time you can do that is either in the offseason or that next year, and there's a lot of time for that value to go down, to deplete, it's a risk that you take.
Is your working theory on this that, and I think this is what I'm assuming, but that the Salvi trade is the one they ran out of time on, and the Singer trade is the one that fell apart?
Yes.
I think that makes the most sense. They say, all right, we drew our line in the sand on Singer. We were having this conversation, but the return wasn't going to be good enough. So, again, that's a conversation. Winter meetings ought to be all about Brady Singer for the Royals. I mean, see where that market is, and then if there would have been more time on the timing is interesting for Salvador Perez, because it's not like the rest of the league just figured out that the Royals might be interested in moving him, and you think Miami still makes the most sense. The Chicago thing feels real sour to me. And you got to get Salvi on board, obviously.
Yeah.
So you could run out of time reasonably.
Right, and is Chicago ready to compete right now? So is Salvi going to go from the Royals, where he's comfortable, to Chicago, where he's not, just because of a relationship with Pedro Grifol, and be on a team that's not competing this year or maybe next year as well?
And what temperature would you say Pedro Grifol's seat is at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good point. Is Pedro Grifol going to be there in 2 years when Salvi?
I don't know.
The reason I think, and maybe I'm misreading it, maybe it's the exact opposite. The reason I'm thinking that it was the deal that fell apart was Brady Singer, because they came back and rearranged some names, and it was like, all right, well, that's not going to get done, versus running out of time, is because of something that J.J. Piccolo said last night that we played earlier in the show, which was there are a lot of moving parts with Salvi, and you're talking about millions of dollars that are going to be moved. So you've got a sliding scale of prospects that you're working with based on money that you're going to send the Marlins.
Yep.
If you make a deal that he's okay to go to the Marlins. If we give you $35 million of what's left of Salvi's contract, we get this level of prospect. All right, we're going to send $20 million your way, so next year he's free.
Right.
Now we get this level of prospect. And that sliding scale, and then you have to, one, agree on the prospects. Right. So like Barlow and Yarbrough, you just got to agree on the prospects.
Right.
That's tough enough in and of itself when you're trading Salvi. You've got to agree on the prospects, then you've got to agree on how much money is going there. And if you're doing that in the last couple of hours of the trade deadline while you're also talking about Barlow and Yarbrough, you might just simply run out of time for Salvi, which means that in the offseason, they'll have plenty of time to work out some of those details if they are to make a move.
And you're talking about getting the ownership involved from both teams, presumably, right? In a even more. I've not been inside that meeting room or whatever, but that is I'm going to try. John Sherman will not let me in. They're banging on the door every day. But it is a much different environment. Say, hey, John Sherman, we're going to make these moves, and this money's going out, and this money's going to come in, kind of a wash, whatever, maybe a few extra bucks here or there. To, hey, could you cut a check to Miami for like $25-30 million here? Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to get a pretty good prospect back.
Yeah, we are. We're trying to get a stadium passed, and we're going to train Salvi.
Yep.
But I also need you to pony up $35 million.
Right.
To be able to do this. Now, maybe he nixed the deal there. But as J.J. Piccolo was saying, look, sometimes you take it on face value. Sometimes there's lip service that they're offering you because that's what they want the public to know. And there's things behind the scenes. But I do believe in that it becomes a convoluted deal when you've got that many millions of dollars that are going to have to go one way or another, and the level of prospect you want in return if you're going to do that everything has to make sense. You can run out of time, especially if things start getting heated up late in the day. And it's like, well, I mean, we got till 5 o'clock. So, we better get this thing rolling. And we're also talking to the Padres and Dodgers and other teams about, teams are calling about Carlos Hernandez.
Right.
And, we're dealing with some of those things too.
The little part of that I would still have more questions about is why did that process start so late, if that is the case? If Miami was interested in Salvador Perez, when was that first phone call, and how long did you have to kind of work out those terms? Mm-hmm. It's different for a bunch of relief pitchers as the market changes and everything, but no other moving parts were really going to change Salvi's market probably. You kind of were in or not, and it was about the money the Royals would send or wouldn't, so it feels like you maybe could have done your homework a little earlier on that one, not just for the Royals, but maybe for Miami or whoever it was, probably Miami. That's a real small note, but I think this offseason makes just as much sense.
Or they looked at the 5 o'clock, central deadline and said, well, we're sort of going through some parameters, but we got some time. And then it gets closer and closer, like, all right, well, this is out there. That's not out there. Let's try to work this deal, and you sort of run out of time. It's like, well, we got a little bit 2 days ago. We got some time.
Right.
We got some time to figure this out. We'll go through this. We'll throw some things back and forth. Then it gets to trying to get to the details of it, and no, I'm not going to agree to that. Okay, well, can you do this? Well, we can maybe do this, but you better do that. Okay, well, maybe we can do this over there, and tick, 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 and it's like, all right, it's not going to work.
Oh, bleep, we got to get Scott to San Diego.
We'll call you in December. Yep. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. I want to play this clip, too, because this is one where we talked about Carlos Hernandez a lot this year, and, well, a lot lately.
Yeah.
And are they going to trade him? There's more interest in Carlos Hernandez because of what he's doing as of late. We know now that he's moving into the expected closer role. He did get a save over the weekend. He got a win last night after giving up the 2-run home run, and then the Royals winning the balk-off last night. But the expected closer, and this clip from JJ is interesting about teams looking into Carlos Hernandez, their thought process behind it, and then the follow-up by Sam McDowell, which was the exact follow-up and the exact question about the decision in trading or not trading Carlos Hernandez. So here's J.J. Picollo talking about the decision there, and then the follow-up from Sam McDowell about the future.
He's one of the players that people had a lot of interest in. I know that was reported, but he's one of the players. With what he's doing right now, he holds a lot of value for us and a lot of control for us. If you're a playoff team and you're trying to bolster your bullpen right now, he fits. And if you don't make the playoffs, you still have him for a number of years. It fits there, too. So that's why I think there was so much interest in Carlos. But again, that's where we decided we just got to hold our line. It's not a necessary trade to make. If we made it, it was going to be a pretty big trade.
Obviously, when you come into that decision, you have to ask yourself the question as far as the likelihood to repeat like what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
What gives you the confidence that the play we're seeing right now is going to be the same?
So one of the things I like about Carlos is relievers we know they can pitch like he is pitching right now, and then they can struggle. But with 4 years of control, if that's the way it goes, we're going to go through some ebbs and flows. If that's the way it goes, we have time to catch him on that upswing again. But I like to be more optimistic that what we're seeing with Carlos right now, we feel pretty strongly he's trending to be our closer. So he's going to get an opportunity now. With Scott gone, he did it the other day. He's going to get more opportunities to do it. Prior to the other day, I'm sure he picked up on when he was being used. He was being used for the high leverage situations, the part of the lineup in Cleveland. I think he went through 3, 4, 5, if I'm not mistaken. We were using him in those situations to prepare him for the ninth inning whenever he does become our closer. So the other thing that's interesting with Carlos is, there are teams that still view him as a starter. So he's one of those interesting players that if he were to be traded, I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to start him as well. So that's another reason why I think his value is really interesting through this deadline.
Those are the things we talked about with Carlos Hernandez, because I know there was a contingent that said, trade Carlos, trade Hernandez. If somebody wants him, trade him. Trade everybody. Trade him, trade him, trade him, trade him. Trade him. My view was different. My view was, I'm okay if you hold on to Carlos Hernandez, because I know that Scott Barlow was the back end of his value. Whit Merrifield was the back end of his value. The ideal situation is to maximize that value. The high end, you trade that person and you go, well, he's taken some steps back since then, so I'm glad that you traded him when you did. That's the perfect scenario. There's also a scenario of trading him too early, of what you may get out of that guy. The question then is, Sam McDowell asked okay, where's your confidence in that he's going to continue pitching like this? Okay, that's fine. That's a good question. And what JJ said, we've got confidence there. We also have 4 years of team control. My question is, what's the value right now? And if he fails, what are you losing in value at what you could get back versus what's the high end that if he succeeds and plays really well, that if you've got a really dynamite closer that you would then trade, what's the return there? If he's a 4 right now and he sucks and you move him for a 2, is there a chance you can get a 9 out of him at some point? That's the risk I would be willing to take, as opposed to a team's going to take a flyer on Hernandez and send you their 18th best prospect or 20th best prospect. We like to play the game Life in our family, the board game Life. And when you land on one of the house spots, you can choose a house to buy. Well, there are some houses that are terrible investments. But there's also a house that it's like you pay $600,000, and at the end of the game, if you spin and you get a red, you get $550 back. Or if you get black, you get $800,000 back. That to me is to feel like it feels a little bit like Carlos Hernandez. That, you can maybe get 600 now, and if it sucks, okay, you settle for 550. But if it's good, you might get 800. You know, so I'm perfectly fine with them again holding their water and saying, no, this is a level of what we want for Carlos Hernandez because we got 4 more years of this guy.
I was slightly further on the side of I would rather see Carlos Hernandez have gotten traded yesterday. I liked him as a starter. He because he has such an interesting suite of pitches. He's an intriguing pitcher, which makes me like him, as opposed to some of the guys who are working with a little less. He might be crafty while also being powerful. I don't know, but I like Carlos Hernandez. I was not worrying about, what if they move him too soon? Because that's a little bit of a construct, right? Of like, well, if he went to some other team and he had a great run, I have no idea if he was going to replicate that in Kansas City.
It's true.
However, it is not a situation where it's trade him now or lose his value forever because of all that control. Especially if he shows that he can be a real top-of-the-line type closer the rest of this season, this winter, he could be a premium asset. Yeah. And that's just seeing him pitch, another handful of times, like big handful, but training camp's going on, so who's going to see it? But I really do think there is something there where his value could increase the rest of this season. If you keep him around for the start of next year also, and the next deadline is when he moves and has proven himself some, there is still a window for his arrow to absolutely be pointing up. If the Royals got an offer and they said, hey, we think right now, let's keep using our 1 to 10 scale. We think he's a 6 who's going to be an 8, but if you're willing to give us a 6 or a 7 right now that's younger with a team control that can be a real building block for us, I would have felt fine with that. I said, okay, fine. Yeah. If you're getting, not to backtrack to Dayton Moore mindset, but if you're getting a fair deal for Carlos Hernandez as a team who believes in him, right?
Fair deal with value right now.
Yes. With value now, believing in what he is, and believing there is still more to go for Carlos Hernandez, a team who is willing to pay for what he is now and what he can be, I would have been perfectly happy to see that trade happen yesterday. I'm also not at all bothered that he's still a Royal, so I think there's a real chance his value only rises from here. I just don't want him to get complacent.
The players that I would be bothered by if they didn't trade, I'm glad they traded Yarborough.
Yep.
Okay. The value there for him felt like it was right. Barlow, it was time. Love Barlow. Great dude. And I hope the best for him.
Yep.
I thought they would move Edward Olivares.
Yeah.
But maybe there wasn't a market for him. But unlike Carlos Santana and Vinny Pasquantino, Olivares isn't blocking anybody where you're like, how do you not trade Edward Olivares for something? Because this guy's ready to come up and play left field or whatever. There's nobody like that. Pasquantino was ready to play first base. All right, trade Santana. And they did. They didn't trade Edward Olivares. Maybe they didn't get what they wanted for him. He still fills a role. He's not blocking anybody either.
Men, summer is here. It's a time to vacation, get outside, and enjoy life with the one you love.
And now, on Sports Radio 810 Sports Center.
This Sports Center is brought to you by the University of St. Mary. The University of St. Mary Online offers convenient programs at an accelerated pace. Learn more during a virtual info session on August 3rd. Register at stmary.edu/RSVP. The MLB trade deadline came and went yesterday, and Royals fans were met with more trades than most fans were expecting. The Royals' first trade of the deadline period sent Nicky Lopez to the Braves for 28-year-old pitcher Taylor Hearn, who has a career ERA over 5. He was optioned to AAA Omaha. Pitcher Jose Cuas was traded to the Cubs for outfielder Nelson Velasquez. He was also optioned to AAA ball, where he has an OPS over 800 on the season. Pitcher Ryan Yarbrough was traded to the Dodgers for 26-year-old Devin Mann and 19-year-old Darlene Figueroa. Mann has been assigned to AAA Omaha, where he's hitting .307 with an OPS over 940, and Figueroa has been assigned to rookie-level ball. Barlow was also traded to the Padres for two 21-year-old right-handed pitchers, Henry Williams and Jesus Rios. Williams is now ranked as the Royals' 9th best prospect. He's been assigned to Single-A Columbia Fireflies. This is SportsCenter. I'm Reed McAvoy. Mick Schaefer joins the zone next.
Well done. Pretty good showing from Reed. Almost as good of a showing in Intern Jeopardy as that right there. But he finished second in Intern Jeopardy, and he is first place in reading Sports Centers in the zone.
This man knows what show he's on. You hear the speed he talks at?
Yes!
That man speaks at 1.5 times speed.
than me. Yeah, I'm telling you. What you want to do is you want to get all the information in there as fast as you can.
That's pretty much how the show goes all the time.
By the way, when I was Reed's age, that was one of my biggest issues. I was going to say that was my biggest. That was a lot of them. One of. But you get used to it, man. You get used to. There was a lot of information there.
A ton of info. We had where all these guys are going now. One of them's a Firefly.
He wasn't afraid of the microphone.
No,
no
fear.
So yeah, it was good.
He would be great as a sports anchor in that. I mean, I get a minute 45 at 6 o'clock. Every night. He could get lots. He could get like 20 stories in.
There you go.
Reed, cut Mick Schaefer saying you'd be good on TV. Just save that somewhere. Email that to your professors.
Well, he spent an hour writing that 45 seconds. So that's typically what you do in TV, right?
Ready for TV, yeah.
You spend the hour and a half writing the script, and then you go and read it. And then
Corey,
you're like,
Corey
I'm
used
working
to
so
spend
hard.
about 45 seconds thinking of what he was going to say for the next 45 seconds and really not writing anything down.
Corey would just grab the format for the show and go. Royals in action tonight. Cole Reagan's on the mound, taking on Kodai Senga. 7:10 is when that game goes on. The Chiefs in training camp today. We heard earlier in the show from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Nottie, and Justin Ross. They're back at it tomorrow. The Chiefs are in training camp, and we'll continue with our coverage there in St. Joe. More zone. This is SportsCenter. Nailed it. Nailed the Corey Anderson SportsCenter.
If
right
I
there.
had that 45-mile-per-hour cruise control, I would use it all the time, but I don't.
Yeah, see, you
so
don't, yeah.
It's just 70. Sorry.
Yeah, you go 70. He went 90.
That's right. We're gonna learn how to throttle it back a little bit,
There you
but
go.
Unlike driving, I don't think you go too fast and too slow.
Yeah. So, Mick, welcome in the studio, man. It's good
Thanks
to see
for
you.
having me.
Good to see you.
great
bud.
time back from
warm.
St.
The
Joe.
headphones are warm.
There you go. The microphone's hot.
Yeah.
There have been some hot takes being
the hot
given.
seat he was in.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
You guys had some hot takes earlier, I thought.
Boy, we are
we?
hot taken away. What was our hottest of takes? Do you think he's gonna have to make something up right now?
No, I was listening that you would have been okay with. Would you say you're okay with Brady Singer being traded?
Yeah, okay with Brady Singer.
No way.
You don't want him
What
traded?
would you get for him? What would you get? Brady Singer 3 years ago, maybe? A guy that you'd have to wait 3 years and there's a 30% chance he might be as good as Brady Singer right now in 2026?
Right, but what's Brady Singer going to be in 2026? A free agent going somewhere else, so the Royals going to be competing. At least take a chance on somebody that might be on the team when they're.
All they do is take chances on people nobody's ever heard of, and we still haven't heard of them 3 years later because they're awful.
Yes, but that's fine. But you got to keep trying.
You keep reset. They're not trying. They're keep resetting the clock. They're turning the clocks back another hour. Every year.
Cleveland is not afraid to do that?
I'm not standing and applauding this regime at all after yesterday. By the way.
Well, I don't know that anybody should stand.
Although I was just clapping my hands. I don't know why.
You were sitting and applauding is what you were doing. You were not standing.
My body wants me to. My mind doesn't.
Your body says yes. Your mind
Here's what
says
I'm not
no.
doing for the Royals. Woo!
Yes.
Good stuff.
I'm not going to sit here and say, JJ, you killed it. That was awesome. I'm such a fan. I'm not going to say that. Although, that's going to be clipped for Friday.
Yeah, sure is.
So
107.
You did say that, Mick.
Dang it.
As far as everybody's concerned. No, here's the deal. is if Cleveland's going to be transactional and trade somebody that's essentially the same as Brady Singer while they're trying to win the division because they feel like they can get somebody, they got the number 37 prospect in all of baseball for Aaron Savali. Is in 2 years, what's Brady Singer going to be? How good is he going to be? And where's this organization going to be? If you could have got, a top 40 prospect for him,
I can say the same thing. What's this top 40 prospect going to be in 2 years?
I agree. Absolutely.
We have no
you don't
idea.
know. You have no idea. But
Brady Singer was a top 40 prospect one time.
Right, and Brady Singer, I know what he's going to be in a couple of years, playing on a team that doesn't get to 500.
Yeah.
So if
and the
that
guy
team,
you trade him for will not be playing on a team that won't get to 500.
But when he comes up, he'll have 6 years of hopefully being on a team that you. That's all it is just rewinding
that's
3
what
or 4
I'm saying,
years.
resetting the clock.
Agreed. But it's sort of looking at reality, though. It's like resetting the clock. It may not be fun for what happens in 23 and 24, but it's also sort of the position you're in right now.
Awesome. You trade Brady Singer. And there's a 30% chance the guy comes up and is better than Brady Singer in 3 years. Congratulations. You've solved 1/26th of the problem.
What's the
Well
percentage?
done.
What's 25 to go?
What's the percentage chance Brady Singer plays on a Royals team that's trying to win a division?
Well, I would say that's moving the goalpost. I would
No,
say
it's not.
what's a better chance that Brady Singer is going to be better than whoever you're trading for in 3 years?
Yeah, but if he's better for that person on a different team, it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter if this guy's not even playing on the Royals in 2 years.
But
A
it would
team that's
matter
not
if
getting
what you get back for him, though. Because if Ohtani is not on the Angels last year, it would matter that they didn't trade him and get a bunch of
trade
prospects
Bobby
back.
Witt then.
If the package is awesome enough, yes.
It's hard to believe that there would be a package for him. But
That's-
yeah, I think
that's sort of the
fair.
point.
Yeah, right.
But that's
it's
sort of
also
the
why
point.
they didn't. No, I'm with you. No, Mick's an idiot, Jason.
No,
we know this. I
no,
know.
Josh.
I've seen
Jason, please let me agree with
I've
you. Just
seen
once.
20 years of Royals trades, and I've seen 2 work out.
But you've seen some that should have been traded that didn't work out. Like
No, we don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea.
What if you make
They
with Scott
should've-
Barlow
they should have
not
waited.
deadline last
so,
winter?
So they took advantage of Whit Merrifield's value in trading him last year as opposed to a couple of years ago.
I don't know. What would they have gotten for him 2 years ago?
Maybe more than Samad Taylor.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would like to take my chance because Whit Merrifield was getting 200 hits on a team that didn't matter. They weren't any good. And that's sort of the point, is trying to find a group of players that can be really
I
good.
think we fall in love with guys we have no idea who they are, right?
Oh, we absolutely do that.
Right? The guys,
yes.
it's the devil you know that you do. I
But
mean,
but it's the Christmas present that you haven't opened yet
yeah.
versus the toys that kind of have a squeaky wheel that you did love playing with.
Yeah.
But this one, like, it's Justin Ross. There's MVS, what he can do. Like, MVS is a better receiver than Justin Ross. But nobody's talking about MVS at training camp because we already know. We've played with MVS as the toy.
Yeah.
We've done that. We don't know what this toy is going to be like when Justin Ross is under the tree. We're going to open up and it could be the greatest toy we've ever seen. It could suck, but there's another toy there. So, yes, there is that element of the next person.
With Witt, I always thought, I'm like, this is a guy capable of leading the league in hits every single year, and
Yeah.
they're not going to get a guy at that level at any position, most likely for a trade for him, or 2 guys, right? And bring
But
in
what if they
multiple.
were to get somebody who was 80% of Whit Merrifield that's in year
What if
number
they got
one?
Shohei Ohtani
Well, yes, they
in
should have paid
exchange
for Shohei.
Ryan Yarbrough. Maybe the, what's his name, Devin Mann?
Why didn't they do that?
They should have really done that.
Yeah, why didn't they try? Boy, I swear to God, if the Angels were offering Ohtani for Ryan Yarbrough,
They didn't take.
everybody there should be fired.
I agree, Jason.
One Royal way should be 0 Royals still working. Way.
I mean, we're playing this what-if game. It could have happened.
But-
it might have been the case.
It's like with Witt.
Angels are like, we really want you. We need a pitcher.
Are they saying the same thing about Trout and Ohtani? Like, we might as well trade these guys. We're not going to win with them. We're not winning with them.
I think if Ohtani goes somewhere else, they're going to look back in the next 4 or 5 years and go, we could have completely revamped our entire organization by trading
he's the
Ohtani.
greatest player maybe of all time.
I know, but
let's hold on to him and not think about, like, we can get 5 really good players for him. Where are we get 5 really good players for him? Don't.
But Whit Merrifield, you said, is like a
Save
guy
him.
is
Don't
a guy
trade
who
Ohtani,
could
is my hot take.
who could lead the league in hits every year, right? And that's true. If Whit Merrifield would have been the best hitter in baseball through the last 4 seasons, continuing through now at the Royals, he still would have played on 0 good baseball teams.
Well, that's not his fault.
No, but use that value that you have to try to give yourself a better baseball team than you
when
can.
has that ever happened with the Royals? It's happened twice.
No, we could definitely just
And
settle
it's-
on the
and
Royals
it's a
have only been good for a minute.
Type and what was Will Myers ranked at the time?
he was the
top-
number one.
Number one.
Yeah, number one prospect.
We're just eating Arby's now, though.
But
It's
here's
just-
the thing.
That's where we're at.
But here's the thing. They traded for guys that it's like, are these guys going to be better than Will Myers? I don't know. Will Myers, number one prospect in all of baseball, was the prospect of the year, all of that stuff. and they traded him.
Oh, we hated that trade at the time.
Right, and Will Myers has not been nearly as good as people thought. And the Royals won that trade, which was great. They got a World Series out of it. They got a cyborg closer. It was awesome. And you're right. People did not like that trade at the time because of what they thought about what James Shields was and Wade Davis as a failed starter. But are they going to put him as a starter? We'll see. That's all they're getting for Will Myers, this guy that could be a difference maker in the middle of your lineup. And it worked out. They won that trade. But imagine if they were worried about, I don't know, Will Myers. This is a guy we drafted. We're going to bring him up. We get to see Will Myers, and we know what he is right now. It's the devil you know instead of what Wade Davis or James Shields is going to be with us. But no, they made the deal, and it was a tough one to make, and it was a huge difference for the team. I don't think that's necessarily going to be a Brady Singer, but if there are pieces that are coming back that you say are players that can be on a team that can win a division in 4 years from now, because Brady Singer is not going to be on the Royals. I think after the arbitration this last year, I don't think Brady Singer wants to be a Royal long term. I think he'll play out the string. In fact, I think there's a decent chance he's traded in the offseason with more time to really discuss some things and with a more depleted free agent market for starting pitchers, that maybe the real value for Brady Singer could be in the offseason and not at the trade deadline if teams are going, we need a starting pitcher, and there ain't a whole lot out there that we're going to spend money on, and that means we're going to have to overpay in money for these guys as opposed to Singers available. All right, we'll give up a couple of chips that we don't really want to, but we're getting Brady Singer for a couple of years cheaper and maybe a better pitcher than what we were going to get on the free agent market. Where the Royals look at it and have to be realistic, Mick, and go, we're not going to compete over the next couple of years.
Well, look, and I get it. You get a little bit worse now, and the prospects of getting better later, but I don't. Is there a level that's worse than the Royals right now? I mean, we're standing up and we're cheering their 4-game win streak.
4 in a row, Mick.
If they won 40 more straight, they would still be under 500.
You shut your mouth.
40 straight, they would still be under 500.
I know.
Okay. I don't know if there's a level. The next level lower might be just folding this thing up and trying with a new sport.
If they were on a 44-game winning streak, they would still be two games below
under 500. What is that? If you almost doubled, what's the longest win streak in Major League? Like 24? If you almost doubled, it would take them almost doubling that to get above 500.
Yeah.
I do like that they got the Padres number 10 guy. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with him? Has he got this?
I mean, he had
got
Tommy
club
John
foot that we don't know about.
He had Tommy John. He's coming back for him. But I do like the fact that the Padres didn't want to trade him. And they waited and waited and waited. And
they said they did. We don't want to trade this
Well,
guy.
yeah, it's either the Royals called their bluff, or the Padres just simply gave in and said, all right, we'll throw him in the deal.
Single A still, right?
Yeah, he's a younger guy. He's 21 years old.
The 1916 New York Giants won 26 in a row and then went 60 and 66 the rest of the season.
Wow, what?
They sign me up for that.
I would love
You
to.
think 1916, Drake?
That's still 20 games over 500 by my quick calculation.
What were either of the guys from the Dodgers in their top 100? Figueroa and
not top 100 overall, but they were in
the
their
Dodgers.
They were in their top 20. I think Figueroa might have been 23 or 24 in their
I
farm
looked
system.
quickly. I didn't see either one. I'm like, how's that possible? Neither one's in their top 100.
Devin Mann wasn't because he's 27 at AAA, so it's hard to be a prospect in the top 25 of an organization, especially the Dodgers, who have a pretty deep organization.
What's the threshold there? When do you time out as a prospect? Is it an age thing?
Probably
is it years in the minor leagues?
26 years old and
still in the minors.
Still in the minors. Or you've played a full year
like
in baseball.
It's like car insurance. Your kid, you can't be on your parents' car insurance anymore, kid. You're 26.
No longer on our prospect list at 27 years old. Sorry, Devin. Maybe you'll show up on the Royals. Is he on the Royals prospect list? I don't know. Has he completely graded out? I need to look at what the MLB
trades. Have they brought up Taylor Hearn yet? Now with the Barlow the move
not
been
that
made, I figured that would be it.
Not that I have seen.
Yesterday, Jackson Coar's back, and that's exciting. I already forgot who the second guy they called up yesterday was.
Imagine if they would have traded Jackson Coar.
I like the Royals
for
guys.
Shohei Ohtani.
I like their sucky guys they drafted rather than sucky teams.
Devin Mann, the 26th prospect in the Royals organization.
In the Royals?
Yeah, 26th in the Royals.
He went from not a prospect in the Dodgers to a prospect in the
Dodgers
Royals.
have a pretty good farm system, though.
So it's not a universal line where you turn from prospect to old man.
26th in the Royals might be 40. He might have been 40th in the Dodgers organization because of how good that organization is.
Zach Greinke is actually 17th in the Royals prospect tree.
I'm happy that MJ Melendez is back in the top 100 prospects again after this stretch that he's had post All-Star break. So it is a lot of moving around with these guys. It's great. Although Edward Olivares fell out, so that was a little disappointing from that standpoint. Yeah, I mean, look, in the end, is it going to matter with trade deadline deals? Probably not.
I can make the argument that none of this is ever going to matter. Nothing we do today or talk about. We're all just killing time before we die.
Yeah, I think about that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
You and Barbie
every morning. Yeah, me and Barbie start our days a lot of the same ways. The intro music's playing. We're jamming.
Is that the only movie ever you've seen that Jason hasn't?
So far, it's the one I've got on him. I think I have like most of the Wes Anderson catalog.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much almost every Wes Anderson movie probably he's
Wes
seen.
Anderson
I'm just not.
Our Venn diagram is weirdly barely overlapping on movies. You help bring us together some.
Yeah, no. I've heard that there's a certain level of IQ to be interested in Wes Anderson movies,
yeah,
and I'm
extremely
not
high.
there.
You got to be above it.
You got to be way above it. Yeah, and I'm not there.
For
at
true
all.
intellectuals,
so it is way above my pay
you
grade
do at some
IQ
point
level.
Have to point at something that's not funny and say that's totally funny while you're not laughing. Right?
Yep.
That's really ironic and funny. I'm not laughing out loud right now. But if you don't get it, you're not smart. That is a Wes Anderson movie move.
But I've also found myself over the years that when I'm laughing, when I think something's funny, I'm hardly ever laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm watching a movie, I'm like, But if I'm laughing, I'm like, that was frickin' hilarious. If you can like make me laugh out loud in a movie or a TV show,
a lot, huh?
that's really funny. But there's a lot of funny things that I'm like, that's pretty good.
That's good.
Especially if you're watching by yourself, right?
Yes,
if you're around other people, even if you're not like performatively laughing.
People? We don't laugh for
I think
laugh for other people.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Not even just your fake laughs or whatever. But if I'm watching a video on my phone, I might go.
Yeah, right.
But if someone's showing me that, I might go. Oh, hey!
Yeah, 90% of the time when I
You're fake.
text somebody LOL, I'm not LOLing.
Yeah.
See, when I text LOL, I have to actually put in parentheses, I actually laughed out loud with that, if there is an LOL.
When you respond LMFAO, you're like, my ass is off. I got to go find my butt.
Yeah. Well, my LOL stands for lots of love.
Oh, thank you, Mick.
Oh, that makes sense.
Never gotten that from you. Weird.
Like the hey, your grandma died or whatever. LOL. What the hell is wrong with lots of love? I thought that was lots of love. What's is that not lots of love? Is that not the thing that it means? Are we not in the trust tree, the trust circle or whatever? One of my favorite things that I had heard about, laughing or not laughing was Dan Le Batard. He had a comic on the show and he was asking about the expectation of funny, and he's like, so what's sort of an annoying part? And he's like, I always get annoyed if people don't laugh and they just go like, oh, that's funny, and he said something else and Le Batard goes, that's funny.
That's funny.
Like, yes, that's the only answer that you have. And I'm like, you know what? That is me a lot where I'm like, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good. Yes. No, I want you to laugh. Well, that is my laugh. If you get me to like laugh, you got me.
Good.
That's really, really good. And my wife, if she even gives a smirk, that means it's the funniest freaking thing she has ever heard in her life.
Yeah.
There is something that can make me laugh out loud, and I show my wife, she's like, oh,
yeah.
Cool.
I got one of those.
No, it's this. She's like, oh, no, I get it. That was really funny. Really? Because your face didn't say that. Your face and your body is not saying that was funny, okay? She's like, no, that was really funny. Like, you should let your face know. It was really funny. And your mouth and your laugh and everything.
Any way you can communicate to me other than just your words?
Communicate from your brain to your face that it was funny. Because your face is disagreeing with you.
You're having a great time.
Your face does not think it's funny. Mick Schaefer, who we all think is very funny.
Thank you.
We were, I don't know what my daughter meant by this. We were driving last night, and I had it on the Best of 810, on Sports Radio 810, oddly enough. And it was the interview with Adam Teicher.
How long does that last?
Well, it doesn't feature any of our segments.
So it was an interview with Adam Teicher I did yesterday. That was on the Best of 810, and it was me asking a question. So we had about 10 minutes in the car to drive with me asking the question. So it was a long time.
Right, you got through one full back and forth.
That's right. We actually drove to St. Joe and back. It was great. But we're driving just my daughter in the car, and I'm like, hey, this is Daddy talking, which, by the way, when you become a parent, Josh, you talk in the third person a lot.
I did that. Josh does that anyway.
Yes, exactly. I was like, hey, Jules, this is Daddy talking. She's listening. She's like, this isn't you. I'm like, yeah, this is me. She's like, it doesn't sound like you. So what does it sound like? She goes, a skunk. Like,
take that.
The hell does a skunk sound like? I have no idea.
Yeah, come to think of it.
Yeah, right?
Very
Isn't it?
skunky.
You're driving around right now, you're probably like, you know what? That's it.
Does she
there
have
it
a
is,
concept
the
of
skunk.
like voice and like television like being taped and delayed and everything?
Yeah.
Like you're in the car and she can hear you there. Did that
she said I
figure out?
I
or
sounded
anything?
bigger.
Okay.
You sounded bigger?
I sounded bigger.
You're a tiny little guy in the radio, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently in person I'm a child, and on the radio I sound much bigger. So there you go.
How old is she?
She's 4. She's 28. Yeah, she's getting married next week. So yeah, she heard me on the radio for the first time.
Says Daddy on the radio. I know, Dad. I'm tired of it. I've already subscribed to the podcast.
Come on.
I listen at 2 times speed. Let me listen to it again.
That's why you're not paying for the wedding. I know. You're in radio, Dad. You've told me that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But did you hear Adam Teicher say he's not worried about the Chiefs wide receivers? That's crazy, honey.
Yes, I get it, Dad. You're in radio. We're already eloping. You don't have to continue to remind me about it, okay? Gosh. Were you as impressed with Justin Ross talking as you are with watching him play, Mick?
Was that today? I didn't hear him.
Oh, my goodness. He
good.
talked.
Oh, man. Were you going to be okay over there,
No,
Josh?
I just counting down the days
like
to see him on a football
it was,
field.
I mean, it was
not
a
in St.
siren.
Joe.
It was a muse as he was just talking. It was just like, oh, my God. It was just
Was it Justin Ross or Justin Reed or Justin Watson or Jalen Watson? Or there's so
John
many.
Ross zoomed from home.
Did John Ross
actually, yeah.
zoom from home?
Justin with a Y.
Okay, wow.
Ross.
Ross with
Yeah.
an O.
Yeah, it was a big day.
No, I don't think I've heard him talk. How was
That's
he?
what I said. I said, I've never. He's very quick with his answers, but he was very excited. And that's not sarcasm. You could tell, like, in his voice about how excited he is to be out there. He was asked, like, you put the pads on. What was that first couple of pops, the hits in the pads? He was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Was the word.
Beautiful to get hit with pads. So
Matt Derrick made the point that the first preseason game, I think he said it will be exactly 21 months since his last college game. So it's been a very nearly 2 years.
November 13th of 2021 is the last time he put on football pads and played in the game, and it will be August 13th of 2023 next time he does that.
Does he realize that he's like the cult fan favorite of Chiefs fans and all that?
He was asked about it, and he was asked, like, do you feel like, you try to get a pressure to live up to the hype of what's been out there on Twitter and everything? And he goes, I deleted Twitter, so I don't know what's going on out there. I blocked that out.
See, I'm telling you, that's wide receiver one material right there.
He still has X, though.
I think Tucker Franklin said, so does that technically make him an X user? Which I think at that point, see, Elon's got you.
You know how many times I've scrolled past my my phone on looking for Twitter? I've scrolled right past the page
I
that
got
has
open tabs on my computer. I'm like, I don't have Twitter open.
My top left on the second page used to be Twitter, and I'll scroll right. Oh, not Twitter. That's right. That is where I'm at. That's X over there. I got to go back to that thing. So, yeah.
So he knows that he's the Bobby Scipio of this camp.
You,
Brian, you
son
son
of a
Reese Fountain.
I'll fight you.
Yes.
I'll fight you during this segment.
Yes. No, he doesn't, because he deleted Twitter, and he blocks all that out. Okay. And he's very appreciative of Micah Parsons and T. Higgins tweeting about him, that those are good guys.
Wait, because those guys are?
Yeah, Micah Parsons tweeted about Justin Ross, and T. Higgins tweeted about Justin Ross, about he's been that guy, that now that he's healthy, watch out.
Yep.
So, yeah. So they are – interesting, Micah Parsons is more excited about Justin Ross than his teammates are about Dak Prescott. Did you see that video about with Dak Prescott in practice? So
did Micah Parsons? Did they play Clemson at some point? I'm wondering. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out the connection.
What is their
too.
connection?
He
Higgins
said,
is obvious.
I don't know. He says he's a good dude. Like he's like, yeah, Micah Parsons is a great guy. So apparently they've known each other for a while.
Okay.
But so Dak Prescott, there's video out there of him, running a play near the end zone. He's running to his right, and defense is yelling like at Dak or whatever. And then he, tucks it and runs to the end zone. He would have been sacked. And Trevon Diggs, and I don't know who the other guy was, that were just chirping at him. And Dak says something back, and Trevon Diggs looks at him and says, "Shut your B-ass up," and walks away. And I'm like, I don't think that's regular trash talk to a quarterback in the NFL.
So spicy.
I don't know that L'Jarius Sneed or anybody else is looking to Patrick and say, "Shut your B-ass up." Go back to the huddle. Like, yeah, it's a little different. I'm sorry, but that is not regular.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, they're both veterans on that team. Maybe they're close.
Man, I don't know,
right?
dude. And maybe I'm making. Maybe
a lot of times it's the best of friends saying the worst of things to each other.
It absolutely could be that. You know what? It 100% could be that. That is true. Was it Trevon Diggs' son?
Right?
That was Dak
yes,
Prescott.
Aiden,
so,
right?
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That just popped in my head. It was Aiden Diggs that wanted to meet Patrick Mahomes. But that's the thing, though. He kept wanting to meet. He didn't want to meet Dak Prescott. He wanted to meet Patrick Mahomes. Damn it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is that people are like, no, that goes on all that. Are you serious, man? What this guy said to Patrick Mahomes at that time, it happens.
Patrick definitely talked a lot more stuff upon watching the quarterback miniseries than I thought he did.
Yeah, but I just I don't know. Maybe it's because it was video, and maybe it's because it's Dak. And there's that feeling of like, is Dak kind of respected in Dallas? Is he good? Is he not? And CeeDee Lamb saying, well, the offense is on Dak's shoulders. Like, okay. Like, just odd. Like, I don't know. It's just maybe that is just general that takes place everywhere. But it just stood out to hear that as clear as day from a player to Dak Prescott, to the team's quarterback.
Much like Royals trades, I think this is the year for the Dallas Cowboys, guys. This is it. This is it for Dak and Dallas. This is the year when finally they don't just break out; they start something really special.
Would you bet on it?
What is it? What would I have to bet on?
I don't know. You'd have to be an Iowa State player first. Then you can bet on it.
So they're bringing criminal charges against this kid. Is that right?
We'll talk about that next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us, Jason Anderson, Josh Briscoe, Drake heading up until 2 o'clock. So, the story out of Iowa State, the state of Iowa, and Iowa State, the Cyclones, is shocking, surprising, also not shocking and not surprising at the same time, if it can be both of those things. The Iowa State starting quarterback, expected starting quarterback, no longer starting quarterback.
Last year.
Yeah. Hunter Dekkers has been accused of betting on events involving the Cyclones, including a 2021 football game. He is among 4 current and former Iowa State University athletes charged with tampering with records related to an ongoing investigation by the Iowa Criminal Division. Hunter Dekker placed approximately 366 bets totaling just under $2,800 on a DraftKings sportsbook account linked to Dekkers, including 26 of those that were on Iowa State.
So that's on
events.
average like $8 a bet?
Yeah, $7-8 each bet. But it does get like some of the money is like the Paniro Johnson, the wrestler who is all Big 12 freshman wrestler. He won the Big 12 wrestling title last year as a freshman. He placed 1,283 bets online worth more than $45,600 last year.
So he's about 45 a bet. 40 something.
I mean, 25 of those
I don't
were
want to
on
know my numbers,
Iowa State
I don't think.
I don't think I do
They're
either.
all real easy to check. They're all in your apps.
Not going to.
Does it
Not
display
going
it
to.
like that? How much money you've bet?
Yep,
How
absolutely.
many bets?
There are also some third-party apps that are kind of cool that will do some of that for you. But
And then you got the 4th-round pick for the Denver Broncos, who was suspended indefinitely. He was at Iowa State, betting on Iowa State games and football games, and he was with the Denver Broncos, betting on Denver Bronco games, betting on player props. He bet on 5 different Denver Broncos games, a member of the Broncos. Like, it's one thing to say, all right, I'm placing bets on different games. Like, this is where there's a level of ignorance that I think ignorance as a defense is not great, but ignorance as a defense can be sort of understandable. The betting on a game that you're participating in or playing in, that's not one that's not ignorance that can be forgiven as that's just
right.
Not, you
it's
just
something
didn't know.
you don't do. At the same time, I get the temptation there, right? And it's so easy to pick up your phone and it's right there, and you see the spread. You're like, what? We're definitely gonna lose to the Chiefs by more than that. Take my $100. And so I get the temptation, but I don't know if like criminal charges should be brought against these guys.
What's the tampering with records?
The only thing I can think of is just deleting your app. Does that count as tampering with records?
Hold on, Justin Ross, is he tampering with Twitter X? He deleted
wow, he did delete it.
Deleted Twitter. Is
He'd be
tampering
with
Hopefully
defenses
there's no
all year.
investigation into him and Twitter X.
God, I hope he's tampering with records as a wide receiver in
He
his
sure
NFL
will
career.
be.
That would be great if he's tampering with some of those. This guy continues to destroy Jerry Rice's records. He is tampering out there with all those damn records. The football game that Hunter Dekkers bet on in October 23rd, 2021, Oklahoma State game,
and that was
Iowa State won.
That was a controversial game. It's funny.
Really?
So
did Hunter Dekkers run out there and tackle somebody?
It was the
keep it from a touchdown.
It was like Oklahoma State's only loss before. No, they were 12-2, I believe, that year. Yeah, and that was a big loss. And so at the end, they didn't give Oklahoma State a first down. They reviewed it, and it looked like the Oklahoma State receiver rolled over on top of the defender to get the first down. And even after the review, they didn't do it, and it just caused a huge firestorm. That was the game. That was a big game.
Interesting. Were the refs in on that? Was it more
Maybe
than
so.
just Hunter Dekkers, or some of these other guys betting on that? Here's what stands out really the most to me. The detail about his illegal activity with betting. The affidavit alleges Dekkers was under 21. The legal age in Iowa when most of his bets were placed, but he disguised his identity with the help of his parents.
Yeah.
His parents helped him create a DraftKings account so he could bet on games while in college as a freaking starting quarterback? Parents of the year. Here's the deal. I hope it was worth it because he lost his scholarship and now you're paying for college. Parents, hey, what do we have for Scott and Jamie Deckers? It's a student loan. That's right. For placing bets on Iowa State football games and helping your underage son lose a couple $100, you now will take out a student loan and pay it back later on because he no longer has a scholarship. Well done.
As the father of a college-age student, and I have not helped my son set up a gambling site.
Well, you're not a good
I
dad,
would say
then.
they're not a one-off there. That is quite a common theme. So we can all sigh into the microphones.
What about
but
college football players?
That's part of it. It's like,
oh, I bet there's a lot of this is very pervasive. He is not. He's
Man,
not an anomaly here.
Look, it's one thing. Like
because they all see it as $5 or $10. Here we go, a lot of yada. And I'm just gonna do baseball, right? Or I'm just gonna do NFL. And like I said, the temptation hits there, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean,
who's watching, right? Who's paying attention?
I've set up an account for Everett, but Johnson
Right,
County
yes.
3 and 2 does not care if
Right,
he's placing
exactly.
money on the 7:30 AA game. You know that he doesn't care about that.
and he's betting on them to win, on his team to win.
He's not even playing in that game.
Oh,
He
I
did,
see. Okay,
well, he
gotcha.
did place it from the facilities. That is kind of an
That's
issue.
no biggie.
Yeah, that was Oklahoma State's only loss of the regular season, and then they lost it on the final play of the game in the Big 12 championship game that year. Otherwise,
was that the Baylor?
This is the Baylor game.
Oh my goodness! That was
Bounce
that
the ball
year.
either way there, and they're making the playoff.
Or being a little bit quicker to the sideline there, guy. Yeah. In the Big 12 championship game.
Don't hand it off to a guy that runs a 5.340.
You can pause that, and
you're like, no way, he has to get
9.8 times out of 10 that guy scores a touchdown. There's
99 times out of 10 he scores. Or just put a foot down and head
Go
straight.
through him.
Right? Yes.
Go through him. Oh, I thought the game was over and Oklahoma State had won, but that isn't what happened. Deckers also had money on Baylor in that game. That's odd.
Yeah,
he did not. He did not.
I do appreciate you accidentally reminding me what I forgot to do earlier, which is I've gone ahead and put $5 down on the under 33.5 and the Jets to win tomorrow. So $17 coming my way if that hits.
You really aren't betting on preseason games, are you?
I'm gonna tweet out the bet slip here in a second. Not just preseason games, Jason. The Hall of Fame game.
When the bulk of the players playing will be released. You've got 90. There are 180 players on rosters tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be 106 on rosters when the season starts. There are 74 players that are going to be cut that are going to be playing tomorrow night.
They're going to be $17. They're going to be released right back in my
If you have a good
account.
handle on him, then you you can win some money.
That's exactly. You have a good handle on the
Whenever he's at your house, do you ever talk to Mitch Holtis about those preseason games? He hates it, man. Because Mitch, he's going to be thorough. He's not going to be the guy that says, well, we don't have this guy on our roster. No, he's going to know everything about the 90th guy
Is he allowed
on
to bet?
the opponent's roster.
Is Mitch Holtz, I mean, he's not playing, but he does have a lot of inside
I'm
information.
guessing no.
I'm guessing he doesn't. I don't know what the ruling would be, but I bet he doesn't.
Guessing no.
I'll ask him later.
You don't survive for as
I'll ask him
long
at
as
dinner.
he has.
That's your fault, Nick. I mean, I blame you, really.
Mick, do you ever realize that the person who makes Jason laugh out loud most often is Jason?
That's pretty funny.
You
There it is. What's up next?
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, heading up until 2 o'clock. The program with Soren Petro comes your way at 2. Mick Schaefer is with us.
Hey.
So, these are the questions I think we should get more of out at Chiefs training camp. Mike Vrabel with the Titans. He's the head coach of the Titans.
Heard of him.
Did you hear this question that was asked to Mike Vrabel about Derrick Henry?
It's a good one.
Mike Vrabel was asked, hey, Coach, how many 5-year-olds would it take to tackle Derrick Henry?
I don't even know if they could. How many kids would die in the process, I would imagine. I don't know. Do I need to give you a number, like a legitimate number? 35. You want to try it? Test it out?
Yeah, can we try it?
Sure, as long as you're one of the 5-year-olds.
That's a great answer.
It's awesome.
I don't hate that question either.
Oh, my God. How many 5-year-olds would it take to tackle Derrick Henry? 30. And you, media guy, you need to be one of them. But how many would die in the process? That's a good question.
That's, yeah. Would you rather take on one Derrick Henry?
Uh-huh.
Or like 10 Derrick Henrys the size of 5-year-olds?
No, I'd rather the 5-year-olds, even if they're just literally miniature Derrick Henrys, I would rather deal with them than
But there's 10 of them.
the one Derrick Henry.
I do wonder, though,
would you rather fight a duck the size of a bear?
Right.
Or 10 bears the size of ducks?
10 bears the size of... No, see,
I'll
they
take
got
the
teeth.
duck.
Yeah,
I go the duck,
I'm going to take the duck.
I'll take duck. Yeah, I mean, Howard the Duck came out, like 37 years ago yesterday, so that was a big deal. A lot of reminiscing on my childhood. Also, one of the more awkward scenes in a bedroom with a duck and a female. But
that is the first ever Marvel movie.
Now, that is a marvel.
It is.
To think of. Is that really true?
First ever Marvel movie.
Was Howard the Duck?
Yep.
Oh, God, that was a great movie. It was pretty funny. But I do actually wonder, how many 5-year-olds would it take to tackle Derrick Henry? 30?
So you got to figure out
answer.
You
Is 30?
got to figure out what the range is, right?
It's more than 30. He could
I
run
agree
through
with
a
that.
classroom. He could absolutely run through. If his life depended on it, and it wasn't like, I'm like, oh, if these were like robotic 5-year-olds, I'm like, okay, I'm going to kill him because Mike Vrabel's right. Some are going to die.
Is it a running
These
start?
are like AI, Haley Joel Osment from that old stupid movie, all the robot 5-year-olds, but they look real. Like Wade Davis was a real robot type deal.
Yeah, that's right. So is he just taking the handoff and they're at the line of scrimmage ready to, or is he like it's a kickoff return and he's running with that speed built
You're
up?
gonna need hundreds.
If it's a kickoff return and he's catching it and picking up speed, it's going to be a bowling ball in pens just for 40 yards. So
what's the strategy here for these 5-year-olds?
But
Do you
here's
go,
the
do
deal.
you just go like bowling pins?
If you position a 5-year-old just right, you could trip him up.
Yeah, that's right.
I think there is a number there, right?
But that's where the risk of loss of life comes in.
They're gonna die.
Yeah.
Because you're putting
die.
that person in front of a tree trunk that is running 20 miles an hour. And tree trunks typically don't run 20 miles an hour.
Okay, so let's take your bowling ball analogy, and we're gonna take bowling pins, but flip it. So the wide part of the pin setup would be waiting for Derrick Henry, and then the one kid at the back is sort of your safety, who at that point you just hope he eventually plows into a pile. I think if you got 55-year-olds in that formation,
So 55 people? 50 people that are 55 years old.
I think if you get one 55-year-old, they're going to tackle Derrick Henry.
Okay.
The Chiefs tried that with Dan Sorensen. It did not work.
How about this? Who would win? A team full of Kadarius Tonys against a team full of Chris Joneses?
Well, at the moment, neither one of them would be there.
Yeah. You'd have a really expensive injured team.
Yeah.
I'm going to
He'll
take
be
the
getting
Tonys.
fined millions of dollars every day.
I'm going to take the Tonys. It's a lot of space on the field.
A lot of space on the field.
Yeah.
Who's going to be, but I mean,
I'm just
it's
going
a running team versus a passing team, that's for sure. Because
Right. I'm going to take
Chris
the snap.
Jones is going to plow through all the.
Yeah.
Tony's trying to play nose guard, middle linebacker.
Right. I mean, that's tough, but I just.
And he's got Chris Jones blocking for Chris Jones.
Yeah, that is difficult.
Chris Jones is going to be handing off.
That's a good question because
know,
my
that's why I
instinct
asked
my instinct is to go with Kadarius Toney
That is my
because the
instinct too, but
speed is overwhelming.
I don't know who's going to stop who defensively.
you know what?
That's what I feel
It's going to be a
like.
high-scoring affair.
I think maybe I'm going to go with Chris Jones. Because I don't
he's
think.
going to be able to get to that quarterback pretty quick.
Right, because Tony's not stopping Chris Jones when Tony's on defense. Because you've got the offensive line that's just going to be plowing through guys the size of Tony. On defense, though, for Chris Jones, if you play press coverage up, you got long arms. You can sort of hold them while Chris Jones has run right through the Tonys that are trying to block.
Kadarius Toney might want to just do a pitch to Kadarius Toney and like a halfback pass every time. Just get him out in space.
That's what I'm thinking.
And give those receivers time to run and separate from Chris Jones.
I'm going Chris
Who's playing corner and Chris Jones playing safety too.
I'm going Chris Jones.
If I had a real quarterback for the Kadarius Toney team,
Yeah.
I would definitely go with the Kadarius Toney team, I think. But I don't know if he can handle. I mean, Kadarius Toney's going to get open on Chris Jones pretty immediately if they can get clear at all. So have Kadarius Toney running some motions, a lot of shotgun, a lot of keeping the running back and fullback. Kadarius Toney is in the block. Pass pro is going to be a big problem, no question.
How many 5-year-olds to block Chris Jones at the line of scrimmage? 15, maybe?
Blocking?
They're not all going to be able to touch him at the same time.
I mean, what constitutes a block? Keeping him from the quarterback for 5 seconds or 3 or what? 5? I think it's maybe more than 15.
More than 15.
And if there's loss of life is not a concern, then yeah, you need more.
I just don't think 15 5-year-olds would be able to focus individually on slowing down one guy. At least with Derrick Henry, it can just be like 5-year-old after 5-year-old diving at his knees, grabbing a leg.
There's going to be a lot of flags flying because those 5-year-olds are going to hold.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, so legally block Chris Jones. It might be like 30.
God, I love this debate.
Might be 30.
I love that Vrabel kind of went with it too.
I know, dude. Yes. How
I'm going to
fun
ask Andy Reid that exact question.
You really should. You know, who's the coach to ask that question? Nagy?
Oh yeah, Nagy's a good
be
one.
great with it.
Spags would love it.
Spags would be great.
He would.
If you had to build your entire
that's a great
defense out of
question.
just
I was
one
thinking about
player
that the
here.
other day. I was thinking about that actually the other day because we actually had some 5-year-olds out here that were playing football with us, and I thought maybe this guy could. It was a baby Gronk.
Or you could just how many Spags would it take to tackle Isaiah Pacheco Spags?
If you get the entire Chiefs roster, you get to pick one guy who is your entire 53-man roster cloned 53 times, Lance Long style. Who is the player you would choose to do that?
Mine is Patrick Mahomes.
I think that's probably the right answer.
Or Travis Kelce, who's got quarterbacking skills and is taller and is faster. I'm changing it. Travis Kelce.
I don't know. Kelce.
You've got to. I know Travis Kelce's going to fare better on the O-line than Mahomes is.
Mm-hmm. He's going to fare better in the backfield than Mahomes, at wide receiver than Mahomes, at defensive line than Mahomes.
You think he'd be a better receiver than Mahomes?
He's faster, absolutely.
I think I may go something like Justin Reed or something. I don't know. Maybe
Do
Justin.
you think he can hold on kicks?
Ooh, Butker. Yeah, you're going to be up 3-0. Like every time, you're up 3-0. Hey, do you think Sean Payton's going to give Nathaniel Hackett an apology?
I don't know. I think he should. I think it was a B move.
Nathaniel Hackett.
move.
Nathaniel Hackett. Drake does not expect. He was asked. Nathaniel Hackett was, "Hey, this is yesterday. Do you expect an apology from Sean Payton?"
I do, and I just think that within this.
Oh no, that's a different one. Stop that one. That was
that's a lie.
He was asked if Sean Payton broke a code. He said he did. Shut up. A code. But does he expect an apology from Sean Payton?
No.
Do you expect him to follow through?
No.
You don't. Why not?
No.
Would you answer the call?
I've never met the guy, so let's get on from it. That was last week. We can move on from it.
Good for him handling something maturely.
Do you think he's going to apologize? No.
They call him They call him Petty Payton down in New Orleans. I found that out yesterday.
No kidding.
Petty Payton.
Interesting. Okay. We'll have to. Thank you, Mick.
Thank you, guys.
So good.